Was it Martin Millet's wish to die?
The nature of Millet's life determined his death. I was merely an instrument.
Stop hiding in your philosophy, Kamir. You took a mortal life.
And you haven't?
No, not when someone else's life was not at stake.
The act was just, MacLeod.
No, Kamir, it was murder.
Millet robbed my people, ripped away their culture. He was worse than a murderer. He was destroying their souls. Look, MacLeod, I came for your help. If you want to challenge me, do so. But don't judge me.
I wasn't exactly crazy about him either, but he swears it was legal. Welcome to Highlander Rewatch, the podcast where each and every week we revisit another facet of the Highlander universe and discuss it in detail. I'm one of your rewatchers. I'm Keith.
This is Kyle.
This is Eamon.
That soundbite out of context makes it sound like a rendezvous with someone underage.
Yes, it does.
Like,
Cruising for some ass.
yeah, like that is really good out of context.
Yeah. Keeping
Exactly.
it legal, baby.
So how are you guys doing?
I'm good.
Jawsome. In fact.
Street sharks.
Ooh, do they fight and they bite?
They do fight and they do bite. They're street sharks.
But yeah, no, I'm excited to be
Back in the studio?
in the swing of things. We took kind of a longish break this time because of the 4th of July holiday.
That's right. Hope everyone had a good vacation on holiday with their families. And I was in Paris, and we've got some pictures, which probably have already been posted on our Facebook page by the time this episode comes out. But I got to see some cool Highlander-related stuff in Paris, like where Duncan's barge was and Darius's church.
It's just a picture of a river.
Yeah, that's it.
With no context around it.
Exactly.
Just the water.
Yep. And the Shakespeare and Company bookstore, which was really cool. So hope
Did you
everyone.
find a Watcher CD-ROM?
I looked all over the place. I think it was confiscated by maybe a hunter.
I wonder if anybody ever did that.
Deposited.
Yeah.
one.
Oh,
Or like,
or you meant like asked if they had
Yeah.
it? I like the idea of depositing them.
that's
be
a
funny.
that's a
Like
fun
I should just
idea.
gone there with like blank CDs. Or no. Why make them blank? You got to put weird stuff on
Yeah.
it.
Just
Weird
put the
stuff
Watcher-
like
just-
Watcher Chronicles.
Just put the
yeah.
Watcher Chronicle
Okay.
thing on it. Or you just mean like anime porn.
I kind of was thinking that.
Go, I got us covered then.
In our previous episodes, we did not do reader mail, and I think going forward, we're probably going to always break out reader mail. We've been getting it a lot, and I think
and
they're
it's great.
Yeah, so keep writing us. If you want to write us, it's highlanderrewatched@gmail.com, and we will read it on a bonus or a mini episode altogether.
Yeah, because, we want to keep these main flagship episodes a little more compact for you.
Right.
Keep them a tight 45. Or
Yeah, that's
whatever we're
not
doing.
ever happening.
Yeah.
And if
It's
if we
aspirational.
if we don't read your mail, don't worry. We'll probably get to it in the future.
Yeah, we try to always...
Or it was bad.
Or it was bad.
Or it was bad. Live with that.
Usually we either read it or respond to you via email or Facebook. We try to get to them all. But thanks, everybody, for writing in. Also, want to give a little shout out to Paul H., one of our frequent contributors here. A couple weeks ago, we all actually got to have dinner and drinks and nachos and whatnot with Paul. He came to Philadelphia for work. So big thanks to Paul H. for coming out and visiting with us. And he also gave us a cool collection of books, which we can't wait to sink our teeth into.
Very exciting.
I'm going to eat them. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
delicious.
exactly. Well, that was the dinner.
Yeah.
It was the books.
We ate the books.
It was a feast of knowledge.
That's right. So he gave us the what did he give us? The Evening at Joe's book. Was it the Watcher Chronicle book? What was the other books in there?
One was like a TV, not a TV guide like the magazine.
It was actually just an old TV guide.
A guide to like the Highlander TV show.
Right.
Illustrated with photographs and other cool things.
Yeah.
And wasn't one of them one of the novels?
Yes. So very cool stuff. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Paul
Paul.
H.
It was great.
So we're ready to hop into this week's episode.
I'm ready to Paul hop into Sorry. I don't know.
Paul hop.
That was not good.
He was
Paul
a
Blart
rabbit.
Mole Hop.
Ooh.
I like that. Did
Yeah,
I
let's jump into this one.
did I tell you guys about my Paul Blart movie sequel idea?
No.
It's Paul Blart 3, where
There's already a 2.
Oh, there's
there is a 2. I watched 2 with no volume on an airplane, watching it on the back of somebody else's seat. and it was filmed really well. I was like, the quality of the cinematography in this Paul Blart movie is pretty high.
Wow.
Not being able to hear any audio, but I was like, huh,
That might have ruined it.
I was impressed. Oh, yeah, exactly. That might have ruined it. My idea for the third one is Paul Blart graduates from mall blarting to the Secret Service, but he has to protect Donald Trump, and it's called Paul Blart Mall Cop 3, The Blart of the Deal.
The Blart of
That's
the deal.
very good.
That's terrific.
So, Kevin James, if you're listening, let's workshop this.
He needs a story credit and at least half a point on the back end.
That's right.
All right, let's hop into this week's episode. This week we are talking about Season 4, Episode 9, The Wrath of Kali. This episode first aired November 20th, 1995.
Ricardo Montalban's really good in this. That's a Wrath of Khan joke.
This episode was directed by Dwayne Clark. This is his first episode of Highlander, and this is his third directing job.
Wait, The Rock did this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dwayne the Clark Johnson.
Checks out. This is great. I mean, I was wondering why I could always smell what he was cooking, and that explains it.
Yeah, he only has one more Highlander episode coming after this, and he's done like lots of guest spots directing shows, but some longer stints doing The Practice, Boston Legal, and then a shit ton of like CSI Miami, CSI New York. Yeah! But yeah, he's been working hard.
Dark Angel. Do you remember that show?
Is that with
Jessica
Alba?
Alba.
I always said Anthony Alba.
Yeah, Anthony Alba.
I don't remember that one.
It was produced by James Cameron.
Yeah. She's like on a ledge.
That's right. She
Okay,
rode a
I
motorcycle.
actually remember that visual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, a story that might be cut. I was told not to watch that show by someone at my church.
Why? Because it's evil?
I think solely because the name was Dark Angel.
I don't think there was any angel connection to it, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, I think she just wore black and was like the hero. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, it was like this guy was like in our Sunday school class was like television, and there's these shows today like Dark Angel, and I was like, what? It's like it seemed pretty good to me. I only watched like 3 episodes, but
That's so weird.
yeah, right. Very
That's
strange.
so lazy, too. That's so lazy.
Anyway, this episode was written by David Tynan. The last episodes we saw from him were Double Eagle and Homeland this season.
Not too shabby.
That's right.
On those two. Mahjong.
I love that line. This episode guest stars Molly Parker as Alice Ramsay, and so she's like a big
She's
star.
in tons of shit.
Tons and tons of shit.
Not like shit as in bad.
No,
but
She's
like,
in a lot
like
of trouble.
stuff.
Like she
Yeah.
got caught
Yeah,
evading
she's
her
in
taxes.
lots of
She's
shit,
in a lot
man.
of shit.
This was maybe like her second or third, I think, IMDb
Yeah.
credit. It's pretty early in her career, but you might recognize her more recently as Maureen Robinson in the new Lost in Space reboot.
Mm-hmm.
But she was also Jackie Sharp in House of Cards, which is where I kind of remember her from very recently.
Yeah.
I remember her most sadly from the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man movie.
But how'd it get burned, though?
How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned?
The bee.
So, like, I would not recommend watching The Wicker Man, frankly. Like, it's one of those
It's
bad
boring.
movies that's very boring. But if you go on YouTube and watch, like, the 8-minute supercut,
It's perfect.
It's, like, the best 8 minutes you will ever spend. Do you want to see Nicolas Cage wearing a bear costume, punching
Punching
a
a
woman,
woman.
Yes.
punching a woman in the face?
Doesn't he also
There's
drop
lots
kick a
of-
woman?
Yeah.
Yeah. He
He
beats up
karate kicks a woman across a room.
Yeah. And then at some point, a bunch of bees get poured on
Yeah.
his face. Like, poured, like, as you would pour a glass of water. Only it's bees.
Bees.
I would recommend getting the DVD and watching the alternate cut
With James Franco? Yeah. And his, what's his name?
Who's in
James
it for
Vanderbeek in
3
it?
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. What a teaser in the end there. The original starring Christopher Lee.
That's a good movie, right?
So
I think it's okay.
I think it's an okay horror movie.
And who directed the reboot? What's his name?
He's in trouble now. I forget his name.
Neil LaBute. Neil LaBute.
Oh, that's right.
Famed award-winning
Now in
Playwright.
trouble.
playwright Neil LaBute.
Yeah.
What's he in trouble now for?
Some Me Too stuff.
Ooh, not
Yeah.
cool.
Not surprising.
He got called out. Sorry, Neil.
Yeah,
Or
not sorry, not
I don't
really.
know.
Yeah.
Nope.
Very good. Okay, so Molly Parker's in this episode,
All right.
and Brent State is in this.
Brent Ratner?
Yep, as
Famed X-Men 3 director.
another guy that's in trouble about lots of weird
Yeah.
stuff.
Ugh, he's
Ugh. As Colonel Ramsay, I have in my notes, you might remember him from Tron Legacy as Purple Gaming Program. But actually, you might recognize him as Eddie Doyle from Mountain Men.
Oh, look at that shit.
Yeah.
He was in Final Destination 5.
5.
Ooh.
Also, the second episode in a row, or not the second, another Colonel, one episode after
Yeah.
the Colonel.
These kernels of similarity
I know.
just build.
And then finally, this episode guest stars Kabir Bedi as Kamir.
Wait, Kabir plays Kamir?
Yeah.
I wonder if
They
that was
just
confusing on set.
Switch, yeah, wait.
You might recognize him as Anjali's father in Bawafa, or as Ved Pujan in Rudrashkush, or perhaps as Dabu in 2002's Kitty Party.
That's what I remember. Of.
Exactly.
Party?
But Eamon, he was in a very famous movie.
Octopussy.
That's right.
Yeah.
He was in James Bond, Octopussy.
That's my second most hated James Bond movie.
Really?
After
What's number
what?
one?
Die Another Day
Oh.
with Halle Berry.
I have not seen the Pierce Brosnan James Bonds in like forever.
They're all bad except for GoldenEye.
GoldenEye? I remember GoldenEye
that's
being
fair.
pretty good.
Yeah, GoldenEye is really good.
Rest
Also
nuts.
a good video game.
Yes.
One of the best.
Yeah, one of the best video games
think so.
ever created.
I will say this. Control scheme in the post-Halo universe, wonky. They had not quite figured out how to do a double-axis movement
yeah.
Oh,
in
yeah.
that age of first-person shooters before, like, double joysticks were common. It's awkward.
Double
The C pad or whatever, the C buttons,
Yeah, like...
which were camera buttons. That's what the C stood for. Camera.
Well, it only made sense when the first game you put out was like a 3D Mario.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
then it like they just had to figure something else out.
Right.
Either way, still a lot of fun, still trailblazing.
So let's move on from this nonsense to talk about the IMDb episode description.
Yes.
Another bit of nonsense. All right, are we ready?
Good. Hang on, Eamon. What
Yes.
are the odds that this is a little bit racist?
I'm gonna say
oh wait,
likely,
you're looking at it.
but I
That's
have
unfair.
it.
Yeah,
I
all right.
was
Never
cheating.
mind. I'm gonna guess 15% chance there's something racist.
Interesting. I'm not sure. I haven't read it yet, so.
All right, we're on this journey together.
Duncan and Richie attend the opening of an exhibit featuring the Bengal Kali, a bronze statue sacred to the now extinct Indian assassin cult of Thuggis. Immortal Kamir, last of the Thuggis, is determined to reclaim the Kali for India and wants Duncan's help. In flashback to 1764, British-occupied India, Duncan is trying to track down the Thuggis and prevent young widow Vashti from committing suti on her dead husband's pyre. In
Wow, there were
present,
a lot of terms of art on that one.
Yeah.
That was like all proper nouns.
So, in present day, Duncan discovers Kamir has killed a mortal to reclaim the Kali. But Kamir insists Duncan not judge him, for he is a priest of Kali.
Is that why Duncan can't judge him?
I think so. Duncan's not a judge. That's
Maybe it's kind of, yeah. I think it's worded poorly here, but
Yeah.
Here's,
I think it's like, this is my culture's thing. Anyway, Eamon, what do you got?
here's the YouTube. A statue of Kali is purchased by the university where McLeod teaches. Immortal Kamir arrives, determined to take it back to India.
That's perfect.
Pretty succinct.
That's right.
Good job, YouTube.
Okay, guys, so how's this episode start?
Starts in a creepy art dealer's office where he's on the phone about illegally selling some terracotta statues.
Is this like the terracotta statues we're thinking of? Like
Like the
terracotta,
army?
Like the terracotta army? Is that what it's supposed to be about?
That's what I assumed.
Like
but-
that guy who maybe that guy who recently stole a finger was one of his goons.
Oh, wasn't that at the Franklin Institute in our very city?
It was.
Yeah.
And some guy's just like, oh, let me just steal part of the statue. No
Yeah.
one will notice.
This guy also is wearing like a headset.
Yeah.
And like his office is like these glass blocks. It's like very dated looking. It's kind of ridiculous. Also for like an art dealer.
It's a
it looks
little
like it's like a
overcrowded.
dentist's office or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
It's a dentist. That explains the Muzak that's playing.
So Kamir comes in.
Enter Kamir.
And he's just like uninvited, just walks in and he's looking at these Buddhist statues.
Right. And so he's like, oh, I hear you deal in artifacts that, shall we say, are like extreme rarity, like come in extremely rare. What the fuck? Hold on. So he says that you deal in artifacts that are extremely rare.
Yes, that is what he says.
But it's implying, because the guy's like, oh, like, you know, only for the discreet collector. So it's implying that these extremely rare things are stolen.
Yeah. So, they both know what's up. And then he describes a bronze statue that we come to find out is this statue of Kali, which he reveals that he has sold.
To a university in the States, which I
I
instantly
mean, it
was
was
like, huh? Like, I thought this was a stolen statue, like as implied from this thing. So somehow a university bought a stolen statue, because as we'll find out from them later in this episode, like they don't really do their homework and don't seem to give a shit.
Nope.
Like, even a little bit.
They say it's sacred to the Thuggee cult.
Right.
But they've died out hundreds of years ago.
So, did anyone look up the Tuggies?
I was like workshopping like if there's a hand job joke here, but I decided that would probably be like a little insensitive under the circumstances.
Maybe.
So I was thinking about saying like they doubt out in 8th grade. But anyway.
So I checked out.
Bit.
I looked up the Tuggies on the old Wikipedia.
And you're like, oh, is that a nickname for the Detroit Tigers?
That's right. Well, apparently this is where the word thug comes from.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, like the British slang, like it's British slang is where thug comes from, but it's from the Tuggies. How about that?
that's pretty interesting.
But Tuggies refers to the acts of tugs, an organized gang of professional robbers and murderers. Tugs traveled in groups across the Indian subcontinent for 600 years. Tugs have traced their origin to 7 Muslim tribes. But the thing that was interesting would be that they operated as gangs of highway robbers, tricking and later strangling their victims with a silk handkerchief. So like that's
so
all
that's a
like
real
that's all
detail.
like legit in the episode, which is pretty cool.
So like these guys are just straight up highwaymen, but for some reason in this they're like a religious cult.
Yeah.
Like there's no religious element to these guys. They're just gangs.
I'm not sure. In the paragraph I copied from Wikipedia, it did not mention Kali. So I'm not
Also,
sure
it
if
said that they were Muslim, which they would not be worshiping.
Well, I guess they
Kali.
originated as from these Muslim tribes. I don't know if they continued to be Muslim. I'm not sure.
Well, if only.
If only I'd read more and did more research. But alas.
There we go.
So
We're here
this is
to talk
interesting
about Highlander.
That's right.
This is some good shit, and I'm really digging this etymology lesson we got on the word.
But they did do a lot of research, as we found out later in the special features of the DVD. Like they had to dig deep to write this story.
Yes, in a pre-internet era, so this was probably a lot harder information to come by than it is now.
So what happens to this art dealer?
Silken cord.
Yeah, he gets
gets
strangled out, baby.
They have this like funny exchange before that. He's like, I see you accept all major religions, because he's got artifacts, all these religious artifacts. He's like, and all major credit cards. Strangled. And then, did anyone else notice what the camera work is on these stranglings?
Slow-mo?
With like a bunch of zoom in and out on the face that I was like, I hate this choice.
Wow.
This is terrible. And like that's like a consistent decision throughout this, that like at points of action and often when we see this Kali, there are these like spastic zooms in and out, and I'm like, stop.
And then the sounds go boing.
It goes, wait. Each time, which I thought was a weird Foley artist decision, but you know, I can live with the fart noise. No, that doesn't happen, but the zoom does, and it sucks.
Wow, that's crazy. So then we get the opening credits. So that's our cold.
It's crazy, but my opinion is stronger on this than it should be.
Wow. So that's our cold open. And so then we get the old opening credits. And so then when the episode proper starts, we are in the University Museum of Cultural Anthropology.
Is this supposed to be the same university where Duncan works?
It is.
Okay. And we have not encountered this woman before, right?
False. How about
We
this?
have.
Well, I was thinking that was like, did they recast this woman and it's the same woman? Or what is the...
Her name is Chandra, and she is the woman that we met in Leader of the Pack
Okay.
in the parking lot.
That's
that
what
was
I was
like,
thinking of.
how's Duncan? And it's like, good. I mean, as a teacher. Same woman. Isn't that crazy?
But it's the same actress as
Same
well.
actress as
oh,
well.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's a good bit of callback there.
Yeah. So Richie and Max show up in their tuxes.
Yeah, and Richie's feeling all out of place with these ivory tower liberals.
All these people just to buy an Indian statue, but they're not trying to buy the statue, right?
What do they say? They say like, oh, like
a
you need a lot
fundraiser.
of rich people to like purchase shit like this. Like they're all donors,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's like a fundraising gala or something like that to open this thing.
And Duncan helped make this deal happen with the statue somehow.
He gave like contact info for some people.
Which led her eventually to that guy in
Malays
London.
or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Malay.
Malay.
Yeah.
Milady.
That explains the fedora he always wears and the neckbeard.
At this point, Duncan is like, wait, you talked to that guy? Like, he's no good. I'm sure you used the word like technically a lot. Like, once again, implying very strongly like, this is definitely stolen. And she's like, well, as long as it's here now. It's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Forgive me to play devil's advocate, Duncan, but
Yeah, it's like he promised it was legit. Like, whatever.
Yeah, okay. Also, like, when you buy stuff like this, like, things have to be, like, this is insane that the statue was ever purchased in the first place.
yeah.
Whatever, Chandra.
Yeah. Well, who knows what proof, in quotes, he has that he acquired this legitimately.
Right.
Like, there doesn't seem to be any doubt as to its authenticity. The question is just, which is one of the
But
things you
authenticity is often like tracing ownership, though.
That's true.
So, very good. So then we get the buzz. And who is it?
It's the murderer.
It's the murderer, Kamir. The murderous Kamir.
Yeah, it's the London Strangler appears.
So then we get a flashback to India, 1764.
And we meet possibly the most annoying Highlander character yet.
He's on the short list. Both of these people are on the short list.
Motherfucker.
Though it's the colonel and his wife, though Duncan only finger blasts one of them.
We'll leave it to you to decide which one. I wanted to curb stomp this colonel. I know curbs
Colonel
aren't
stomp
in
him?
Indian. I wanted to colonel stomp this colonel. He's so annoying.
Yeah, I think he's written that way. Like, to
Yeah.
be like the most. Like,
But,
they make
like-
him so he's super unattractive to his wife.
Yeah.
Like, of course she hates her own
He's
husband.
an 11 in the annoying scale and in the hot scale.
No, he's awful.
But yeah, he and his wife were like walking around. She's complaining about how much she hates being here.
Right.
While there's like over-the-top sitar music playing, and they're playing what looks like bocce?
I wasn't
Yeah.
sure what the game was. I did think another link from previous episodes. I was like, another like game playing episode, like lawn games.
Yeah. Croquet. Yeah.
A
the
lawn
Easter
dart
egg.
flies.
Accidentally hits a kid. They're
Yeah.
illegal.
Wah, wah.
Also, by the way, a tiger walks by
Yeah.
at some point, and I was like, huh? Like, I don't know anything
This
about
tiger thing
Indian
is
culture
nuts.
back then, but like, did tigers just like walk around like
No,
as a
they're still
pet? Like,
dangerous.
right. That's kind of what I
Yeah.
figured.
I don't know. They said in the special features they rented the tiger for a half hour.
You should rent them by the half hour?
Yeah.
I'm
And
surprised
that it
you can
scared
rent it for that
everyone
short.
on
Yeah.
set. I watched a video of a tiger like killing a man that fell into the tiger cage.
Ooh.
He just picks this guy up like he's like a rag. It's horrifying.
Yeah, I would not want to mess around with the tiger.
Yeah.
Look that up.
Siegfried and Roy.
Anyway, so they're waiting. The colonel and his wife are waiting for his like new assistant to come, and she's like,
meanwhile,
"Oh, I
the
hope he
wife is-
speaks English."
Yeah, meanwhile, the wife is just whining racistly.
Yes.
Like he bows to one of the Indian kings, and she's like, "Don't bow to him. He's not a real king." And I'm just like,
Like,
"Ugh."
ugh. Turns out Duncan MacLeod is the assistant, and
Yes.
he's all dressed up. You can't see his like face, and he's sitting in his chair, and he gets all upset. And more racism is like lobbed
Yes.
Mac's way because he thinks he's Indian.
Right, because he's wearing more native garb.
Yeah, and he's tanned.
Yeah,
Is
they
he
did
saying-
tan Duncan up a little bit.
Yeah.
there,
He's
yeah,
Like working
Yeah.
in the sun.
yeah.
Well, he's saying off E, off E. Is he just like saying off and adding an E?
I am not sure.
Oh, good
Or
question.
is that an actual word?
I should have looked that word up.
I was like, is he just being like an asshole? I mean, yes.
Well,
the answer
either
is
way,
yes.
the answer is yes.
Right.
But
Yeah. But I thought this was really funny. And he's like, where is this Scottish guy? And then McLeod takes his mask off and it's like,
why is he wearing a mask in
here
this thing?
he, here he. He's like really annoyed.
Yeah, which Mac is a real champion for the locals in
He
this
is.
one. He's ready to go to the mat.
Then there's some like sexual innuendo with Alice and Max. She's like, "Oh, you do ride well, don't you?" And it's like, "Oh man,
Yeah, it's like so overt, and the colonel's meanwhile just sitting there like, "Hoop-a-doo."
Yeah, he's completely
Buffy.
oblivious.
Yeah, he's a real garbage person.
Oh, and of course, Kamir comes in at this point too.
He's in his full regalia.
Costumes. Yeah, go on,
No,
Kyle.
all
Jinx.
Yeah, you said it.
you owe me a Coke.
Oh, it's a Pepsi. So the costumes are awesome, and Kamir's there, and he's kind of saying like, "Oh, the Tuggies are not a problem. They don't attack like white people or whatever."
Yeah.
Yeah, like they wouldn't dare
Yeah.
mess with the whites. And this guy Kamir's like, as you say, it would be foolish.
Right.
And you're immediately just like, ho ho, dear readers.
Yeah.
There's this really good line about losing an empire, that like losing an empire is like upsetting business or something like that. And the colonel's like, we're not losing this empire, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'm talking about the Indians, dude. Like they're losing their empire to us.
Right.
And of course they're upset about it. And I was like, oh, this is good, Max. Mac gets it. Yet he's still here to help them. I have thoughts about that. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, let's
but-
talk about it later.
Yeah.
So we cut to the present, and Kamir is there to check out this Kali statue.
Yes, which he seems to indicate literally has a god in it.
Yeah.
Not symbolically. Like, it's literally a vessel for Kali, and you can experience it right now. which I was like, interesting, that's fine. But then Richie's like, you're right.
Yeah, he's like, it's freaky, man. And then then there's this like mystic disappearing act. It's like, huh? What's going on?
He does a Batmac.
Hey, Batmax.
He Bat-collies.
Bat collies. Bat Kamirs. Batgammon. He challenges Mac to a game of backgammon.
It's the most friendly ending to any Highlander.
But yeah, he's like, the Kali can look through your soul. And then Richie looks at it and gets all freaked out.
Yeah, which I just found like odd. And like throughout this episode, a kind of dynamic develops that like Richie is very taken with Kamir. Like he really believes he has like a lot of knowledge and wisdom to impart, which may well be true.
I think that is in some ways true.
Which I think is interesting.
I dig Kamir. I like him a lot as a character.
And the actor and
Yeah, it's
everything's
cool.
great. I just find it very odd that like Richie accepts this premise readily and is like, oh my gosh, you're right. This is a magic statue. Like,
I don't know.
I just found
Richie's kind of been sympathetic to these sort of like religious things and like.
It's just interesting. I was just like wondering what that was supposed to mean. Also, we get another one of these like weird zoom push things, and I was like, "Fuck you, statue of Kali." Yeah, is that what your magic is? That when people look at you, their eyes go whoom 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 whoom.
So Kamir disappears, and then we cut to Chandra's office.
Devane, that's not a name you hear in Calcutta. Maybe that's because my father was Irish.
So what can I do for you? And Kamir says, for me, nothing, but for India.
That's right.
So he wants her to return this stolen property.
And she's not having it.
Well, she's not buying that it's stolen, and it's like unless you've got proof that this thing is stolen.
Right. She's like, it's called trade. It was legal.
Yeah. Also, side note, weird thing that drove me nuts. She's holding a folder. I don't know if it's related to this or it's just like fiddling acting. It is the exact same color as her dress. Like, it is identical. And I'm like, oh, stop. Why'd you do that, prop person? This is maddening.
Funny.
She is doing a lot of fiddling acting with these folders and a fiddle that she's playing.
Yeah, she's also playing a fiddle.
It's like a hoedown.
Yeah.
Kamir line dances over with his silk strangling weapon.
This is an interesting conversation, I guess. He like accuses her of like selling out her Indian heritage, just like kind of a sick burn, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
she fires back with like a pretty good defense. It's like, no, this lets people understand our culture. Like people can study it. They can become part of it. You know, you're missing the boat by trying to take this thing away from people when this could be a real bridge.
Exactly. So, interesting argument being set up here. And then we get the buzz, and this is a weird
About
buzz.
the ethics of museums.
Did anyone pick up on the buzz here? It's like another one of these like crunching buzzes, but it's for Mac.
Yeah, that's odd.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's weird.
The crunchy buzz.
Crunchy
Buzz. I used to think maybe they put some thought into the buzzes, but it doesn't seem like.
I think they usually do.
I think it's that sometimes
do.
they do and sometimes they don't, and that confounds the thing. Like sometimes I think the way they choose to do the buzz is significant.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
whenever they do the buzz for Mythos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the buzz for Mythos is always like out of control big. At least in some of the subsequent episodes we're about to talk about. You know, so I think sometimes it is deliberate, and other times I think they're just grinding them
Yeah,
out.
because usually these like crunchy buzzes are for like a villain or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it
like
shows that they're
Xavier.
like off or something. But yeah, it was that this is the way Kamir feels about Mac. I don't know. Strange. Whatever.
Yeah.
Then we cut to the dojo, and it's awesome. There's like some cool electronic music, and Richie's shirtless.
Richie's all sweaty.
It's checking himself out. He's just working that pole.
Richie's moonlighting as a male stripper.
Yeah. If you can tell, I had a whole theme of hand job jokes in this one,
'em
so
coming.
we're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Brace yourself, dear listeners.
Richie gets the buzz, and Kamir shows up, and he's like, hey, there's some other ways to use it. And Richie's like, really? Show me. And so then we get like a demonstration from Kamir with the pole, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a wizard. Or at least the stuntman's a wizard.
Yeah. The stuntman is
They
an expert.
strategically go behind his head. And this is very cool. I was trying to think, who's the last person that, like, Mac had a pole fight with?
Gabriel Poton
That's what I thought.
Maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was Patone. Which
With
is a while ago.
their headbands.
with their headbands. That's right.
Yeah, well, there are a bunch of Donatellos over here.
Donatello.
So I think this is a really great scene. Like we get some exposition of how like Kamir feels about India, because Richie's like, hey, that like seemed like a little bit of like, what was it, like kendo and this, and he's like, maybe it's a little both, or maybe it's older than both of them. And then he kind of gives this history of India. Like India is thousands of years old, and the only way to know it is to like live it and breathe it. And so he describes it as this like extremely special place.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool. And he also talks about how it survived. Like, it keeps being conquered over and over, but it endures. He speaks very poetically about a lot of things, which I like.
Yeah, and like I also really enjoy the interaction that follows that. Like Richie taking that in, he's like almost like jealous. It's like you have this connection to this place that's so profound, and like I won't ever have that. Like it's like what will I be thinking back on? Like fast food joints and bowling alleys, and he's like, well, you will feel very differently if you ever see it being like ripped away from
Right.
you. Like suddenly you will realize its value, and like you'll be ready to fight for it.
Yeah.
And it's just like I don't know. It's interesting because he's very specific in the sense that he's talking about India, but like he clearly has like an understanding for like a more global application of what he's experiencing.
No, totally.
Which I find incompatible with things that happen later. Like many a Highlander villain, he's very interesting and then goes off the rails.
That's right.
for reasons,
Right at the last second.
for reasons I'm not clear on.
Yeah.
But this is like, I don't know, insofar as this guy's got like real wisdom to impart, this feels like real kind of universal wisdom.
Right. And
Like,
he also talks about like his immortality, like being from that place too is important. Like, cause Richie's like, well, I didn't even have like parents or whatever. And Kamir's like, well, none of us did. He's like, but we're all products of like the culture and place that like created us or whatever. And in some ways, I think this plays into maybe David Abramowitz's philosophy of like, well, how many immortals are there? Like there's enough out there, good and evil, to be like proxies for mankind. And it's like, oh, like they all kind of represent different aspects of like humanity over the globe. And I think this comment kind of feeds into that a little bit. Like I'm
makes
like
sense.
this Indian philosophy, like I'm from this part of the world and at this time, and you're something different, Richie, and Mac is something different too.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Do they give us an idea of how old Kamir is in the episode?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure. I thought he was older than Mac, but
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, but I don't think they ever kind of state how old he might be.
do we have a Watcher Chronicle for him?
We do.
Oh, so we'll get an answer
we'll
to this
find
question.
out.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Sharpish.
Well, then Matt comes in, and they're going to do a little.
Yeah, Richie's like, man, his
like,
moves
fight,
have got
fight,
moves. Yeah.
Fight.
Richie wants his two dads to fight. My dad can beat up my dad.
So Mac and Kamir go at it, and this is cool too.
They swashbuckle.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
That was another dick joke.
Dick joke.
But, we'll keep them coming. So there's like a weird Easter egg here that I'm unsure whether or not it comes back. Not Easter egg, but I'm not sure whether this is a point that comes back. Like Mac, draws first poke or whatever. But then Kamir uses this move to like sweep the leg essentially and knocks him down. And Mac kind of recognizes it and says like, oh, the Japanese have a move like that. They call it something.
The Diashi Harai.
That's a cool sounding name.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then I'm unsure whether that comes back in their sword fight in some way.
I don't think it
But
does.
at some point, there's a leg sweep involved, and I'm unsure if it's supposed to be the same thing or if like lessons were supposed to be learned. It was called out so explicitly and fucking named. I was sitting there like looking for it later.
No, that's a good catch.
Either way,
If it's in there later, great. That's awesome.
yeah. So we'll talk about that when the sword fight ends. But at least in round one, Kamir is a bigger dick.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, did anyone notice Mac calls Richie Rich again?
Yeah,
I had that in my notes.
He calls him Richie Rich,
Richie Rich.
kid billionaire.
When you die, you're going to be Casper.
What
Casper's the ghost of Richie Rich.
is that? A fan theory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
Just because, not really, but they're drawn exactly the same.
They are,
Because they're
aren't they?
both Harvey Comics characters. So that's just a little,
Harvey Comics. Can we trust him?
yeah.
I don't know.
So did he forget his name or get renamed?
Yeah, when you're a ghost,
You get your ghost name.
you get your ghost. Yeah,
Get renamed as that fat ghost whose name I don't remember, and that's that.
that's right.
So then we cut to the loft above the dojo, and we're having a little tea time with Kamir.
That's his new talk show.
Tea time with Kamir, yeah. So they're having they're rehashing this conversation that Kamir and Chandra had about like what use is the Kali statue here? It belongs in India, but Mac is like it can teach people and help them learn.
Yeah. Oh, did we bury the lead? Did we not say that when Mac during the folder interaction, he's gonna strangle her?
Oh yeah, I guess we
Mac,
kind of did
we
forget to
forgot
mention
to
that.
say that.
Yeah, we just said Mac shows up, and then we moved on. And
Yeah, like he shows up just as he is pulling out that silken cord, like not to wipe her nose.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like he's gonna fucking
Wipe the life out of her
As we
body.
learned, garrote her.
One thing I was thinking about is, does Mac not see that cord when he comes in?
He like puts
'Cause-
it in his pocket.
That would be something Mac should remember.
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
Or does he not know that he was one of these Tuggees?
Oh, good question. Yeah,
Yeah.
he might not
not have
known
put that
ever.
together.
Yeah.
Like he might know he's a priest of this thing. Or I guess he does know that. But does he
sure.
know he's an assassin?
No, I don't think he
No,
does. I don't
he
think that's
doesn't.
ever revealed to
Yeah.
Max. So Interesting.
Yeah, he reveals it at the end.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, like he knows he worships Kali, but,
Yeah.
and is a priest of Kali. He doesn't necessarily know that
Right.
he's a serial choker. Actually,
Yeah.
choking.
Cereal choker.
That's actually
Chicken
incorrect.
choker.
Yeah. That's actually an incorrect use of choking. Choking is the act of being asphyxiated. Like when you swallow something and it's stuck in your throat, you're choking. You don't technically, you don't choke another person. You strangle another person.
So it's like the difference between like itching
and scratching.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you have an itch.
Yeah.
But I'm not itching. You don't itch yourself. You scratch yourself.
You choke. You don't get choked.
Very good.
Anyway.
Getting all sorts of stuff this week. All right. So
We got some strunken white shit going on.
So Kamir
here.
thinks Mac can help because he's like, you can see through Indian eyes, like how this is important.
I like that his first instinct, though, was to murder. He doesn't ask Mac for help first. He's like, well, we just kill this bitch first.
Yeah.
Like, it also seems really stupid. Like, then he's got to what? Like, steal this? Like, have a heist to get this statue out of there? Like, that seems really difficult.
I didn't
Why
think
not
about
just
that.
try to buy it? Like,
Yeah. And then he
just-
still has to go through whoever replaces her.
Yeah.
Who's like, who the fuck are you? Like, I'm not
just-
getting rid of this thing.
Has a sheet that he like puts the statue on and is trying to like drag it out.
Yeah.
Also, the idea that you can just like buy things from a museum curator. Like you just like imagine going into a museum and seeing just a staff member there. Can I get this? Like,
Yeah.
can you wrap this to go?
Yeah.
Oh no, she said I could take it.
Yeah.
I don't know where your Kali statue is. This one's mine. I brought it in with me.
So we get another flashback to 1764 India.
So they're like on a little expedition and they're laying in a field of some kind, just shooting the shit, asking Mac if Mac has seen any of these tuggies, and
Right.
he actually hasn't.
Right. And there's all this sort of like exoticism. They're like, oh, did they like tear people's hearts out and do all
Yeah.
this sort of, it's like,
Well, she's like really thirsty to hear these brutal details and thirsty for other things
Right.
as well.
Weird side question. What do they chant in Temple of Doom when they tear someone's heart out?
Kalima.
ooh.
Any connection? Probably not.
Or maybe.
Yeah, I think probably,
Yeah.
but in a probably racist way.
Because that movie, kind of racist.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the one with you introduced the kid sidekick and all that stuff, too.
Short round. That's right.
Oh, boy.
No time for love, Dr. Jones, as opposed to this scene coming up in Thailand.
Okay, so the colonel walks away. He's doing whatever. And then
At some point, somebody uses the phrase crump. Or the word crump.
wait, what?
Crump.
Is that cramp?
She says crump.
That's their British accent. I have a crump.
I have a
She
crump.
totally says crump.
I've got a crump.
I died. I was like, what the fuck?
So she gets up to leave and she gets a quote unquote crump.
In her leg.
And she's like, oh, can you like massage it? And it's like, ooh. So Max starts like rubbing her leg.
This part is fucked up.
This is so crazy.
crazy.
So she's like, go higher. And then he just fingers her.
He puts his was this on television?
Yes.
He puts his hand up her skirt and she's literally having an
She
orgasm.
has an orgasm.
Which also, this is just like perpetuating false myths that it's that quick. But
Yeah.
No, Max so
Max
good.
that good, yeah.
he's got the magic touch.
He has that feather he was using in his hand at the time.
Also, it's the magic combo of like finger blasting and crump. Like when you get a crump, it changes the blood flow.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier.
And Max digging this.
Yeah,
he has
Max
this
is-
like
Max
gross
is
look
like-
on his face.
Yeah, he's looking hungry. He's in a lean and hungry mood.
And this fucking colonel, in addition to being as annoying as possible, is fucking completely oblivious.
As they have some of like the most over the top like
And sex.
Yeah.
well not just say it's like
He has
they're-
sex with his fingers next to him.
Yeah, like the innuendo they're using. It's like I want some spice. It's like God damn. He just throws a handful of cardamom in her face and calls it good. Here's some garam masala, bitch. But it's bad.
And then when they're done, she like hastily puts her skirt down and he's like, there, like I fixed your cramp or something like that.
Yeah, this is like bad porn dialogue.
Yeah.
Oh no, it broke. Can you
I have to bend over and fix it.
Yeah, it's like my sink is clogged. Can you work it out for me? That's what this is, only with a bustier in the 1600s.
Good scene.
I was really surprised at how graphic this was.
I was shocked
pretty graphic.
at how graphic this was. Although in the special features, I think it said that like this wasn't quite in the script.
Oh, it was like improvised.
like
there was an improv finger.
Yeah.
well, I think the rubbing was supposed to be there, but not her coming on camera. Because I think David Tennant was like, that was all Molly Parker, and he's like, and also
Molly
in the
Parker.
Yeah.
Parker, I hardly know her. But I think also his description of her is like
gross.
He's like she brought a lot of like sensuality to this role, and like and
racism.
and like
She
in
also-
other roles she's done even more. It's like
Whoa. She also improv the racism. That was all real.
None of that was in the script.
It's all real, baby. I'm just kidding. Molly Parker, not a racist, I assume.
No, I'd assume not either.
Yeah. I have no evidence one way or the other of her racial animus.
Yeah.
So
Well,
then
we'll
they-
move past the fingering scene,
Yeah.
shall we?
Yes, please.
I don't want to, but okay.
We can live in this moment for a little longer.
Nope. I've already lived and died and been reborn.
Do you guys want to play the clip? We can just just hear the
let's
ruffling.
take a break.
All right, so we cut later. We're still in India, and so they're, I guess, returning on horseback, and they see this funeral pyre being set up to burn this dead man, and his wife is
Just a random wife.
just the town wife. She's going to, I guess,
town wife.
throw herself on this pyre to be burned with her husband.
That's
This
pretty
is
gruesome.
the sati ritual.
Right, and this is like odd. Like Mac like connects eyes with her. And then is like, I've got to save her. Like, in this moment, he knows that I guess she doesn't want to do it or something like
That's
that.
what they talk about later.
Yeah.
And later he contextualizes. He's like, I saw in your face that you wanted to live. Which maybe was true. I don't know. But he basically abducts her.
There's a parallel between the current story and this past story. Like, Ramsay here is like, well, it's their culture. It's her fate to be buried.
And he's very dismissive.
And Mac is
of
like, no, fate's like what you make it or whatever. And then intercedes. And this is very similar to, I think, the arguments that happen later, like where Kamir is like, well, this is my culture. I needed to act in this way. And Mac is like, no. And we'll get into this later, but there's this like sort of cultural, moral relativism going on.
And like his
with this
culture,
episode.
destiny, and
Yeah.
you know, all that stuff.
So yeah, I thought it was interesting. But yeah, Mac kidnaps this woman and rides off.
Yep. And he gets chewed out by the colonel.
Oh, also, did anyone see the Kali statues in the background of this
Yes.
ceremony? Yeah. Ooh, how about that?
Easter egg. Not Easter eggs.
Easter
Very
Kali.
intentional.
Yeah.
Easter Kali.
Easter
yeah.
Kali.
Easter College. So Colonel Ramsay is fucking pissed that Mac interfered. And the other person who is pissed that he interfered is the woman he rescued.
Because I guess Mac has shamed her now.
Her name is Vashti.
Vashti. So she was saying it was like her choice. I was going to die on his funeral bed, but you shame me in front of my people, my gods, and my dead husband. Like, how can I live with this?
Mac is about to show her away.
Well, Mac is like, did you love him or whatever? Like, for Mac, this is about like true love, not duty.
Yeah.
And she reveals
How-
that like she didn't really ever love him, but
Yeah. I find it far-fetched that he could tell that just from looking at her
I
one
know, yeah.
time. But maybe, I don't know. I'm looking too much into it.
For some reason, I like accepted it. Now that I think
Yeah.
about it, it's like weird. But in the moment, like I believe that they like vibed. I don't know.
part of me wishes there just wasn't any of the vibing. It was just like Mac was like, no, this is wrong, and interceded, and then maybe later got the hots for her.
Yeah.
Well, not like I don't even mean the hots. That like he looked at her and in that moment knew that it wasn't what she wanted.
Oh, right.
Like it's a little bit far fetched, I guess, but like that he could see something in her face that was like even if she wasn't saying it, like wanted help. Don't know.
So how do we feel about Mac interceding here?
I feel like it's, I don't know. I had trouble with this. I'm like, yes, this is this culture's custom, but I don't want to say something too incendiary, but I feel like that doesn't make it right. Like,
I would agree.
Well, that's
killing
like
this woman
I
just
feel-
because her husband's dead.
Yeah, well, that's like one of those things that's really difficult. It's just like because there is a degree of like relativism and all these things that's based on culture. I don't know. I feel like there are certain things in my culture that I'm incapable of suspending. Like I can suspend an awful lot on a lot of things. I don't know that I can suspend a woman sacrificing herself on the pyre for her dead husband. Like I am not sure that like maybe that's a failure on my part, but that is not like a moral I feel like I can compromise under any circumstances. Like
Yeah.
that's just like a wall that I can't climb. And maybe that's a failure of imagination on my part, but like the nature this is not preference if you come from Mac's culture. Like
Yeah.
this is so bedrock that like you'd probably feel like shit and like you
Right.
really messed up if you witnessed this happening and didn't do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's not your culture, it's not your thing.
Also, and it was her choice and all this stuff. And we'll maybe get into this more later. This episode deals with like I thought this was one of the heaviest moral quandaries that the show's presented.
Oh,
and it's also interesting because it's a very different sort of moral quandary, I think, than some of the other questions it's asked.
I read in the news recently, like, this settee thing is, I'm not an expert, but like it's illegal there now.
Okay.
But there are some like fringe villages that still do it.
Wow.
And like one village recently, like a woman was forced to like die
Wow.
because of this, and they're in trouble and blah blah blah. So
Right. I have a hard time shutting off the part of my brain this is probably not giving them enough credit, that thinks that it's a system that's kind of coercive. You know, people freely, in quotes, make the choice, but how much of a choice is it under the circumstances?
Very
I
true.
don't know.
yeah, I'd be curious. I didn't find this out, but how common this was, and did this happen all the time, or is this like a particular? I don't know enough about it. But,
Interesting.
Yeah, we
Was
should probably. We're wading into territory that requires facts that we do not know.
Correct.
So we should
So let's
probably
talk even more.
Let's triple down. No, let's tread lightly because now.
All right. Well, let's talk about. We cut to the present.
So Kamir's kind of argument is you can't separate an art from its people; they're inextricable or inseparable.
Right. And this is like this episode has a lot of stuff. This is like moral question B in this episode. Like what I had in my notes, like, what do we think about this? Like, what do we feel about, like, in a lot of instances it's like stolen Egyptian art and stolen Indian art.
Even Greek stuff.
Yeah.
If you go to Greece, they have replicas of all the shit because
they're all in London.
They're all in London.
Right.
Like, because they just looted it. And there it is. Like, there's their culture residing elsewhere.
Yeah.
And
So how do we feel about, like, a culture owning this art and it being returned? And I don't know. This is very interesting to me, especially like now, like post all that. Like in some ways, I mean,
post-colonial.
yeah. I mean, like, I get that the British stole a bunch of art. I mean, I don't agree with it, but like it happened. But like now, what do you do with it? Like, should it all get returned? Does it not?
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of instances, a lot has been returned, right? At least in Egypt. But
A lot of that has, yeah. And then there's also this question of, like, what's her name again? The curator.
Chandra.
Does she have a valid point that, like, this is legitimately educational? Like, its value is in some ways heightened by being abroad because it gives new people a window into this culture that they might never
Right.
have had. And is that valuable? And maybe they're both valuable, but which one trumps the other?
Right.
I don't know. I think I'm ultimately very sympathetic to.
I think it's a mixture of the two.
I think I'm ultimately on Kamir's side on this one, but like it's not a slam dunk by any stretch.
I'm with him up to the point where he
Murders
people. Yeah. But I remember when I first learned that, like, a lot of the stuff that I saw in museums was actually stolen. Like, that was shocking to me as a young person. And now I'm just kind of like, I don't know if they want it back.
And I don't know. Well,
Give it back.
I also am not sure to what extent the presentation that they're kind of looted is even made normally. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's still something you need to be informed.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't feel like when I I was in school, like certainly through graduating high school, and like we went to a museum on a field trip. I don't recall anyone saying, and by the way, the cultures that have these artifacts want them back because
Right.
you know, they were purchased or taken during like a colonial period and now have just been traveling through streams of commerce. But
Yeah. Like every placard doesn't say, like, from the McMaster collection, originally stolen from Egypt in 1875. Like,
Yeah,
like there's nothing that says that.
I don't know, that's notable. We should just like hang a lantern on that because that might. We're assuming that this is part of like everyone's understanding of these pieces, and I legitimately don't know whether that's true.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we know where Mac falls on this side of the debate. Sorta. When he goes to visit Chandra.
So in the next scene, Mac visits Chandra in her office, and he's, I guess, trying to say, like, well, let's figure out if this was actually stolen or not,
Right.
Yeah,
because that's a big deal.
like Mac,
and that she has not done her research on.
yeah, like Mac is pretty even keeled about this.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know what? If they purchased it legitimately, they should keep it. If this is in fact stolen, it should absolutely go back. And I think that's a pretty okay position to have on this thing.
Yeah. She poses the question, should everything go back?
Right.
And this is where he's like, not a bad idea. As
Right.
he's playing with his stapler.
Which is like, she has that point. It's like, do we just empty out like the Louvre and the Met and the...
Yeah.
In any case, it's like, do you just send it all back? And it's like, oh, maybe. Maybe you do. I don't know. But I agree. It's like if you accept the premise, it is a big task.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
a lot. There's a lot to be done and a lot to be worked out.
Right.
So then she makes a phone call and
On a hilarious phone.
yeah,
It's the size of a brick.
yeah, it is enormous and gray.
You know what time it is in London? Oh, you'll save on rates.
Yeah. So she finds out that Malay is dead and that he's been murdered,
Been strangled. So yeah.
strangled. Yeah. And Mac's like, oh shit.
Right. So we come.
And he knows instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
He's hip to this.
I need some new merch, baby.
You need new merch?
Well, you need
I
new
need
merch.
new
We've got
merch.
the same old merch that we've been schlocking for the past year, and it'll be great for you.
But it's high quality, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
and it's new to you.
It's new to you.
It's new to me. I don't have it, even though I created it. How can
Well,
I?
the shoemaker's kids go barefoot.
That's right. What is this? These are what? Are
Yeah,
we
let us
talking
tell you about this
here?
new merch you could get.
Yeah.
They're Highlander collectible Highlander the series magnet sets.
Highlander. Well, that's what this show's about. That we're talking about.
That's right. It is a set of 5 custom-made character magnets featuring the likes of Duncan MacLeod, Amanda, Joe Dawson, Mythos, and a very special warrior Scottish Highlands Duncan.
That's
like
the
in the
barbarian.
flashbacks.
Yeah,
That's
like
right.
He's the barbarian Mac.
Wow.
Yeah.
So these must be like $50 for the whole set.
That's crazy.
30?
No, because it is.
It
It is crazy because it is not that much.
How much is it?
$15.
Yeah,
$15.
That's $3 a magnet plus
Oh my
shipping and
goodness.
handling.
that's
What a
so
deal.
cheap. You
This
can
shit
buy-
is heavy as hell too.
I've gotten jacked carrying boxes of these things.
Yeah. We've carried these boxes various places, and they are very heavy.
Very heavy.
Keith, how fun is it to carry them through TSA?
They want to check every single magnet with their little ray gun. I'm like, they're all the same. We got to check them all. God damn it! Thank you for
Gotta
protecting the
check
sky,
'em all.
sir.
Yeah.
Highlander magnets. Wow, where can we buy these magnets?
You can get them on Etsy.com. Just search Highlander Rewatch, or head on over to our Facebook page and click the Shop Now button. That's Facebook.com/Highlander Rewatched.
Well, I'm going to buy these and hang up all my old report cards that I keep around the house.
That's right. It always comes back to the report cards.
That's
The
right.
chips are down. What else do you put on a refrigerator?
Nothing.
You know, it's a little upsetting. I've got a new refrigerator, not magnetic.
Oh.
Pretty
What?
upset about it.
What is it made of wood?
Yeah, it's a wooden refrigerator.
I'm like, how is it not magnetic?
Magnets won't stick to it.
Wow.
Why did they do that?
That's cuckoo
Is
bananas.
it nice?
Yeah,
Is it?
Is
I mean,
it
like,
nice?
I don't know. Like, is it like stainless steel looking?
yeah,
And that's not what?
but it's not magnetic.
That's crazy.
Oh.
It's kooky. It's cuckoo bananas.
All
Well,
the
listen. Maybe
characters-
test your fridge out first. See if it's
No.
magnet compatible.
Don't do
See
that.
if it's report card compatible.
Mm.
Eamon's grades are so good they reject magnets.
And if you don't have a report card, enroll in a community college class.
There you go.
Take a couple, adult learning courses.
Take a class on art history.
Ooh.
Not because it's practical. This is just for you.
Yeah. Educate yourself
But yeah, buy your special Highlander magnet set.
today.
And it supports the podcast.
Yeah.
Way to kill the ending of that one. Sorry, guys. So we got back to the dojo, and Kamir and Richie Ryan are having another lesson.
This is the conversation I referenced earlier about, but where am I from?
Yes.
Bowling alleys.
Yes. Yeah.
This is where that happened.
That's a great line. Like, Mac has the Highlands, you have India, I have bowling alleys and fast food joints.
Why don't we listen to the clip? It's a good clip.
yeah. Let's hear it.
Shabash. Well done, as we say in India.
Must have been quite a world.
India is many worlds, Richie. From the borders of Sri Lanka up to the Himalayas, anything you could imagine, India had it. India was it. And as the great wheel turns, will be that again. Good. Men like us must preserve where we come from, because that is what makes us sane. That is what makes us holy.
Sure. If you come from somewhere, or someone,
You only say this because you don't know who your parents are. No immortal does. We are children and heirs of the time and place that bore us.
so Mac's got the Highlands, you've got India, I've got bowling alleys and fast food joints.
You have much more than that, Richie. And you will know it when it starts to die before you. And you will fight for it. Even if you are, as I am, the last of your kind.
That's some good shit. Like that's really quality.
It's good writing and stuff.
Part of this is good writing, and I like it. And part of it just, I don't know if we want to get into this. Part of it makes me think of the white supremacist movement, preserving our culture. And like, I get echoes of that here.
I got it too. I did write in my notes, this guy is a real nationalist, like in maybe a bad way. I don't know.
And is it different somehow or not? Or is it the same? Or like, I can kind of see both sides of it.
It's very different for the reasons that follow, which is to say, one, he is inherently inclusive in the sense that he is super keen to carry on the thing that he has come from and his culture. He also thinks Richie's culture is very valid. Like he's trying to convince Richie, like, no, don't denigrate your culture. Your culture is spectacular. He's not saying that like my desire to preserve this history of India is adverse to you. It's not like a pie that you can only eat so much of. Like, yours is great, and you will understand the value of it over time. That is one. Number two, white nationalism is based on a false idea that white people are under siege or under threat, or that because other people are starting to, achieve and have access to the same resources, that they are under threat. That is false. That is a bullshit premise that people use to punch downward, to harm people who already aren't occupying the same equal footing that they should. And that makes it wildly different. White nationalists punch downward, and it's disgusting. It's gross. Sorry to all our Nazi listeners out there, but no, that is the thing that is different. And people always like make this dumb points like, oh, you're not allowed to be proud to be white. And it's like, no. You exist in your culture. Everything around you celebrates the culture that you come from. It's everywhere. You surround it. The people who are doing that are denigrating other cultures and not putting them on the same pedestal. That's the end of my rant on this.
There we go.
It is different. But what about reverse racism?
That's true. What about
Fuck
that?
you and the horse you rode in on. I feel like we're going to get some hate mail on this one.
No.
But I don't care.
I don't know.
No, I think that puts it well. Or
Yeah.
Also, like, I don't know. There's not a problem with like, I'm Irish. I'm celebrating my Irish heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like white heritage.
Well, white heritage
even
isn't
is
a
that?
heritage.
Yeah,
it's white people are consisted of like, how much does Spain and Norway have in common when the chips are down? Not a lot. Of like, or if you're both gonna be like, oh, we're celebrating our white heritage, you're like, the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you're celebrating like a fictitious race
Right.
at that point. You are not celebrating. If you want to like listen to Irish jigs and like learn how to make really good shepherd's pie, I don't know. I'm struggling on my Irish culture at the moment.
Beer.
Yeah.
Get drunk all the time.
Yeah.
Like nobody,
Just kidding.
literally no one on the planet will give you a hard time for that. No one on the planet thinks that you don't have the right to enjoy that. Anyone who's like making the argument, like, oh, you're not allowed to like anything anymore. Fuck you.
Yeah. Very good. Although, Eamon, I do think I was like a little sensitive to like the kind of nationalist tone of his thing. That's probably just because I think of the political climate we're in today.
Well, I think we should be right to have heightened awareness of that in these moments, but there's a baby, there's bathwater, keep them separate.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so
Mac comes in and interrupts this little moment. He's like, Richie, can you leave us alone?
Mac is pissed. He's
Yeah.
like, we need a moment.
Yeah. And this is where our intro is.
yeah, so this is where Mac's like, yeah, Martin Malay was killed, and Kamir's like, yes, the great wheel of like justice like turns, like the goddess has taken her revenge.
He says in like the passive voice as though he had nothing to do with it.
And Mac's like, oh, maybe you helped her out a little bit. He's like, what? You're judging me for this? He says Malay was doing worse than murdering people because he is harming the people of India's souls by taking this statue away. And that's worse than being a murderer, which is an interesting point of view.
Like he's like he's not trying to kill a person. He's trying to kill a culture. Like he is Like, that is what his crime is, essentially.
The McLeod I knew wasn't so quick to judge.
That's right. And then we get a flashback.
Which, like, goes over his shoulder, and, like, a carpet appears, and, like, they
It goes
zoom
through the door.
and,
I
like,
liked this.
It's
I don't know.
interesting. I was like...
It like ended up looking better than I thought it would.
Yeah, because, like, it really isn't an element of the present that they're focusing on. It just, like... They just kind of do it, but it worked. I don't know. And we get a panther growl.
So Mac is stomping around, and he finds a garter on the ground.
Ho ho, dear readers. Mac's costume is awesome in this.
Yeah.
Too. He's, you know,
He looks great.
Again, in like a Indian, like a very kind of ornate Indian garb that looks dope.
Yeah,
I mean,
it looks good.
his hair's all down, and he's like, yeah.
He looked good.
Yeah, with a body like that.
Meanwhile, Miss Ramsay,
She's also
ready to ram.
kind of, yeah. She's ready to ram. She's coming on to Mac. That was like a little,
Right.
The only thing greater than her lust for Mac is her racism.
yeah.
Yeah, so she wants to Mac it with Mac.
She's just like grabbing him, basically.
But Mac, I guess, wants to go visit
Vashti.
Vashti.
Yeah.
Is that where he's going, or is he just walking by?
I think so, because then she's like shoves it. He's like, "Oh, I'm sure you have other things to do, like with that little brown tart of yours." She
Oh
says.
boy!
This is like,
Is it because it's figs? Like the tart is made with figs.
No.
yeah,
There you
he
go.
just, it's just cooling on the windowsill.
Yeah,
I'm so hungry.
He's about to go pull a hot take by
right.
by taking the tart while it's still cooling.
Delicious.
So
But
at this
no, this
point,
is
Mac
horrible.
like dumps her. I guess.
Yeah,
he's
she's
like, "We're
like,
done finger blasting."
Yeah.
And she's like, "At least I'm white," and it's like,
Yeah. Pretty
"The
fucked up.
fuck?"
Yep.
And then Mac gets really angry and shoos her away.
I had somebody in high school tell me it doesn't matter what I think. He's not even white.
What?
Yeah.
To you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fascinating.
How about that?
Vashti overhears all this as she is lurking in a alcove.
Yes, and she's like, "Ooh, this Mac character."
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Ramsay and his buddy are on the road.
And so they come across this like I guess this
Beggar.
thuggy camp or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and they're playing their sitar music and some tablas, and they get like ambushed.
By like a guy pretending to be a beggar.
Yeah.
I don't really know why that ruse needed to happen, but
Yeah, I don't know either. Just get them.
yeah, just
Get
get
'em.
him. Yeah.
But they end up killing these two guys. And of course, Kamir is there. He reveals himself, and
he's the one
Ramsay's like, "Whoa, what are you doing here?"
Kamir, unhand me.
Brr, she? Yeah, so he gets garroted.
And this is probably the finest example of Kyle's hated camera technique.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Well,
yeah.
like the way this,
This is
shot,
insane.
yeah, the way this is shot, except for the zoom, is like kind of like frantic and interesting.
Yeah.
They keep on cutting to the musicians who are sitting there like almost like smiling while
Yeah.
like
I
this
like-
brutal violence is happening
I like the cutting. I don't like all the in and out
because it's
stuff.
terrible.
a
Yeah.
little too much.
It's
too
very
much.
bad.
Too much.
This is hard to watch. Not because of the content. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But apparently they filmed this at night and like it was hard to see, so they had to do all this like zooming in and stuff. So they're dead.
Yep, so they're dead. So we're back in the present now, and we're resuming this previous argument. And Max says a thing that I thought was very strange. In his argument defending, what's his name?
Malay.
Malay. He's like, was it Martin Malay's wish to die? Was like the question he poses. It's like, that's the argument, man? Like, come on, dig deeper. Like,
No, I think that's an awkward way to say it. What he meant to say is, yeah, did Martin Malay want to die? Did you want to kill him? Like, he's basically just throwing in his face, like, Martin Malay didn't want to die. Like, you didn't.
I guess
you didn't
so.
get to kill him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was it his wish to die? Makes it sound really strange.
But even like, did he want to die? I mean, like, I don't think that's necessarily on the table when you are issuing justice in this regard. Like, is that a question that Mac is asking? Like, I know they murdered like 40 people. I don't know if he wants to die. Like, so I better not do anything about it. I don't know. Strange.
he didn't murder 40 people though.
No, I know. I'm just, So then Mac also says he has never done anything like, he's never killed a mortal unless someone else's life was at stake.
We know that's not true.
And I was like, I don't remember,
I
but
killed people with their children watching.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, like that
Oh,
whole shit.
he did say that.
He has said that, which is like, wait, was their children watching while they were threatening another mortal, so you had to kill them? Did they bring their kid to a massacre that you presented? No, you were the massacrer.
Right.
Yeah, so don't bullshit us,
And
Mac.
he's killed mortals in revenge for things they've done. But arguably, people are no longer in danger after they...
Correct.
Do the
and in
thing.
this case, there is no danger really presented.
No.
In this term, like mortal danger, like
Yeah.
a life will not be lost if the statue stays where it is. But
Yeah. He is, strictly speaking, lying.
yeah, Mac is just wrong.
He's using alternative facts.
This reminded me actually a lot of The Fighter, this sort of argument they're having.
Yeah. It's always
Like, who are you to judge me? You've done stuff like this.
You've
and-
killed people,
Yeah,
yeah.
and Mac somehow is able to like, no, I haven't.
Well, in The Fighter, we always discount that he did kill George.
Oh, yeah.
Once he killed George, he was fucked.
That's right.
Yeah, fuck you, Sully.
Sully.
But if he hadn't killed George, that would have been different.
Exactly. So we cut up to the loft, and now Richie and Mac are kind of continuing this argument. And Richie, of course, is taking the side, I guess, or playing devil's advocate on the side of Kamir.
And Mac is fixing a pot.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
like, I was like, what is Mac fiddling
he
with
already
this
fixed
time?
that clock,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
now he's got to
He had to fix that clock twice. He fixed it, and then
Yeah.
Mikey.
Mikey broke it, and then he had to fix it again.
So Richie, he's arguing that it isn't necessarily wrong that Malay is murdered, which I think is interesting.
Well, like, Richie's just taking up the part. It's like, this guy is, like, coming from a different culture. This is more serious to him than it is to you. Like,
Right.
you don't understand what the stakes are for Kamir
Right.
in this instance.
But then Duncan says, like, Richie doesn't work like that. They thought in the 12th century when you cut off somebody's hand, like, they thought that when you cut off someone's hand for stealing a loaf of bread, like, that was wrong. So Mac's, like, arguing that Kamir's sense of justice is, like, dated and is from a different place and, you know.
And we update this.
Yeah, and not cool anymore.
Right.
Which is interesting and certainly in that example, true.
I like that, like, Richie flat out asks Mac, like, well, just because he believes something different doesn't make him evil, right? And Mac's like, no, it doesn't. Like, Mac's on board. They're like, Kamir's not a bad guy, which is good.
But he is.
Well, eventually, yeah, he is. Well, yeah, he's a bad guy.
As we will learn soon. But yeah, this conversation, I mean, this entire conversation around it is good, but it's interesting that, like, now we get it coming from Richie. That it's
Also,
not.
can we talk about Richie's hair and, like,
Please
Richie's
do.
hair is all slicked
back, and he's, like, up on the table.
Yeah.
Like, he's, like, perched up there. It's good.
I'm just picturing Spider-Man now, like, only he's a greaser.
Yeah. A greasy Spider-Man.
So now we get a flashback again. And Mac, man, something about this Mac in this, like, Indian garb, he's got to, like, fight the ladies off with a stick.
He's talking to Kamir, I guess because they're worried that Ramsay has not come back yet.
Yeah,
And
which
Mac's
is-
concerned about, like, the fallout. Like, if he did get killed by Tuggies, like, well, this will be far worse. Like, I know Ramsay's not good, but they'll send, 10 Ramsays in his place.
Yeah, and they'll kill a bunch of people in retaliation.
Right.
Right.
So then they see the widow Vashti, and he's like, I do not think that she's here to see me. She
Yeah.
is here for you.
So Kamir makes a beeline, and then Vashti and him have a little chat. So she's basically just asking, why did you turn away Miss Ramsay? She's beautiful, she's English, she's white, blah, blah, blah.
She's like you.
Mac's like, no, she's nothing like me. She's a bitch.
Basically, yeah.
But once
just
again,
that
like,
she's-
being white is magic.
Yeah.
And so then Mac goes to visit her in her room later, and
Kamir is leaving.
and he's like, "You've made the right decision." It's like, "Ooh, what's this about?"
Right.
So Mac goes in.
And he does a little look like, huh? Oh, well.
Yeah. Well. Then there's an interesting conversation about Vashti's asking, like, "Do you believe you need to, like, live a pure life to, like, move on?" And, like, all this sort of kind of karma reincarnation stuff.
Yeah, and also just, like, more generically, like, do you think you need to, like, always do what you think is right, like, try to be honorable,
Right.
blah blah blah, which of course are seeds that will come back 5 minutes from now.
Right. And Mac's like, I'm not sure about all that, but he's like, I do believe we should try, and no one's perfect, but we should act
Yeah.
accordingly, so to speak.
Yeah. So then he macks her.
Yep. And then they just fuck.
Yep. There's this part where, like, she picks up a candle, and the candle has, like, a weird cloth at the bottom of it, and she takes it to another table. And the way she puts the candle down on the table because of this cloth is, like, so awkward. And she, like, pauses for a moment to make sure that the candle doesn't fall over. I was just like, why?
Wow.
Like, that distracted me to no end. So that's me crazily watching this, and I'm just like, why give her this, like, unwieldy candle
Right,
that
just
she
make it
can't
awkward.
put down?
So what do we think of this heat, guys?
It's very hot.
Very hot.
Heats.
Yeah.
Heats. So yeah, they go downtown Charlie Brown.
Mac's getting a lot of action in this episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, right? Weiss' hand is.
The master macker.
So we cut to the next morning. Vashti is getting dressed, and she's going to head to the temple. And she needs to go alone, she says. And also, she reveals that she's in love with Mac.
That's right.
Because
Yeah,
I guess
which is
she said,
best.
like, Mac was like, or she told Mac, I guess, before she's never been in love. But after she had that sweet tea, she is in love.
Yeah, bomb D, man.
So Max sleeps in like a lazy bastard.
Right. He's tired from all that.
Yeah. From all this banging.
Yep.
So he's going down, and then there's just a no. And then he gets smacked in the face 2 times.
It's amazing.
What's the sound effect on this like? It's like somebody took a stake and threw it against the wall. Yeah.
And Mac's reaction to it is great. Like, he gets hit, returns to normal instantaneously, and then gets hit again.
Yeah.
And he's just back on track. It's great.
So it's Mrs. Colonel
Mrs. Colonel. Alice.
shrieking about her dead husband
Right.
who's been found buried
then if-
in the dirt.
Yep. And then, of course, she lobs some more racist nonsense at Mac about,
Your precious Indians have killed my husband.
You're precious Indians, you know?
Precious Indians, you know?
we cut back to the present, and Kamir shows up at the loft.
And the Kali statue is there.
Is there. They have transported this priceless statue to Mac's
to a
apartment.
gym.
To a gym.
Yeah, to a
so
gym.
then Mac can give it to him. What? Like, why are we moving it around this much?
Yeah, why is it upstairs?
Like, they must have had to pack it up. So they brought it to Mac's place, unpacked it.
So Mac has apparently made peace with the decision to kill Malay, right? That's what this indicates. It's like, you know what? Like, I don't agree, but there was a transgression here. He did steal it. You are entitled to this back. I'm meeting you this far. So, like, Mac is showing some uncharacteristic flexibility here.
Right.
It seems to be pretty chill about the whole thing.
Well, also, what's pretty interesting is, I don't know if anyone watched the deleted scene. There's like an extended, like the extended and deleted scenes on the DVD. One of them is between, right, Chandra and Mac is kind of agreeing, like, give it back to him and I'll pay the difference.
Yeah.
So I think this is another one of those instances where Mac's like, I'll just use my money to fix the problem. Like, what will make this go away?
Money.
I'll just...
It's the 20th century. Money is a superpower.
Oh, yeah,
Actually,
sure.
sorry, not even the 20th century. It's always been. Money is a superpower.
Yeah. So there is
Thanks,
this
Bruce
deleted
Wayne.
scene where I think, that's where this kind of comes from. It's like, I don't know if it's Max necessarily has a change of heart, but maybe he does. But I think he feels like the easiest path is to just kind of make this go away.
Grease the wheels a little bit.
All right, with Richie's hair grease.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But he kind of seems like agitated Mac. He's kind of like, all right, come on. Like, here's your statue. Leave.
Well, I think he's not wrong. Like,
Yeah.
this guy's a liability
I
being
guess
around.
so.
Like,
yeah, he really
still-
wants him
he
out of
kills
there.
people.
Because, like,
Right.
Kamir's like, oh, I owe you so much. And Mac's like, show it and leave. It's
Yeah.
like, geez, man. Like, he's like legitimately like, thank you very much for this. It means a lot. And Mac is like,
And
yeah,
Mac-
you can prove it by getting out of my house.
I'm fine with it because
Really?
this guy's still a fucking killer. Like, Mac ate his medicine and is willing to come along to the idea that this guy did this thing that he thinks is unthinkable, but
guess
he
so.
is willing to tolerate it and understand it. Like, this is not like, oh, I've eventually over time developed a case for curry and now I like it. Like, this is, you killed someone. I will never be okay with this, but I am, like, willing to understand why you did it, but I don't want to be around you.
I
Like,
guess so.
you're a fucking killer. Like, as far as Mac's concerned, this guy is still a murderer, but, like, he's willing to suspend disbelief. I don't know. You don't go from 0 to 60 on that, where, like, I think you killed someone, now we're best friends. I don't know.
I guess not. I guess my thought is just that, like, Mac hasn't really had a beef with this guy before, and he killed, like, one dirtbag, and Mac is, like, so done with him. I'm like,
Yeah,
well, like, I
I'm
think
not-
Mac's dealt with a lot worse. That's
I don't
all.
know. Well, anyways, there are a lot of people I've never had a beef with, and even people who I rather like. And if I found out they killed someone, even someone I don't particularly care for, my opinion on them would change with that information. That's all I'm saying. Eamon, you're great, but if you're going around garroting people, I might think less of you. You know.
But he's never done it
Of course
before.
I've done it, yeah.
All right, well, maybe my point is correct. Maybe it's just that I think Mac has had far worse friends. You know,
Well, that
the
is
company
in fact-
Mac has kept has been pretty lousy
Yeah,
in
that-
some cases.
that is
and this guy
emphatically
is
true.
like, you know,
And he's very aggro about this whole thing.
Yeah. And he obviously hasn't learned his lesson because immediately after this, he's at the university following Chandra.
In fucking stealth mode.
Yeah.
He's really like
Like a ghost.
lurking.
So she's like walking through some weird service entrance or something. I don't know. It looks like a weird hallway. And he's sneaking behind her with his silk cord. And right as he's about to get her, he gets the buzz. And she doesn't notice any of this somehow.
No.
They're that stealthy.
Very stealthy.
And Mac is just like, man, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair response.
It is. I mean, he gave him
This is
more than enough leeway.
This is fucked. I think that the way things have gone up until now are like fairly acceptable in terms of like Kamir doing something that I think is on like I would never be okay with him killing Malay. Like I will never be cool with that.
Right.
But like it's on the extreme of the understandable, at least within the rules of Highlander. Him trying to kill this girl is so utterly inexcusable. Like this woman, excuse me, is just horrifying, especially because she relented. He wanted something. She consented to give it to him. Like,
and now he's just mad because he describes her as like the worst sort of like traitor. Like she's a traitor to like
she's
culture.
worse to him than Malay.
yeah. This is where I think the white nationalist concern comes in.
Right.
Because like one of the things they're very into, which is why like, you know, when they see that Cheerios commercial with a biracial family and
barf!
Yeah, like they freak out is because like this
race
notion of being
traitor.
like a race traitor
Yeah.
and that is bad. Like that is some serious racist nationalist shit that we should all be upset about.
Yeah, Mac is like, whatever Kali's laws are, like, she's not subject to them. And then we trigger another flashback. And so Mac is arriving to another funeral pyre, and he's yelling, like, Vashti, Vashti. And she is now dead on this pyre. And we get revealed from Kamir that this was, I guess, like a ritual suicide.
To, like, set right the ritual that Mac interrupted.
Exactly.
And that she did it for herself and because she loved Mac. That's what Kamir says anyway. Like, she did this because she loves you.
Yeah, and you get
Right.
like these flashbacks to a few minutes ago where she's saying, like, do you believe you should try to do the right thing? You should try to live honorably and do this whole thing. And, like, which in the set of rules that she's playing with includes going through with this. So,
Right.
like, Mac, in some ways, inadvertently, like, kind of nudged her to do this, unbeknownst to himself.
Well, she had already decided in some ways because Kamir had left her room right before Mac got there.
Right.
So at that point, I guess she was like, I'm going to go out with a bang, literally.
Yeah.
It's like, let's do this. But Kamir's pretty even-keeled, I thought, here. Like, Mac is flipping out and is ready to kill Kamir. And Kamir's like, no. And he talks Mac down about how this is what she wanted and this is right and this is our culture.
And it works out. Like, when this flashback started, I was expecting, especially considering what we're about to see Kamir do, or what Mac interrupted Kamir doing in the present, that we were going to see some sense in which Kamir is more responsible for her death. Or, like, you know, maybe it's not as voluntary as presented, that he, like, coerces her. Like,
I mean, I
killed
could definitely
her.
see that, yeah, that talk in the room was more like, you need to do this. Maybe, but we don't see that.
We don't get anything like
No.
that. No, it's. I think we are supposed to think that this is purely, as pure as it can be, a voluntary choice. It's not like he killed her and
Right, right.
then, you know, is forcing her to go through with this thing.
Right.
Which I thought was what was going to happen based
Yeah.
on what he's doing in the present.
Yeah, I thought he was just going to kill her or something. But
Is Kamir like a fallen version of himself? Perhaps.
I would say maybe, yeah. I mean, so then we cut forward to the present, and Kamir is like, I am India, I am Kali,
Kali.
like,
It's
I am the law.
he thinks he is a god.
Yeah.
And Mac is like, no.
Which,
Right.
This just
You're
This
not.
is all out of nowhere,
This
too.
felt completely out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
his rationalization for killing Malay, which I vehemently disagree with, were words coming out of a sane person's mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I understand why he might have that position, even though I think it's completely incorrect. Like, people can disagree on things. This is cuckoo bananas.
I had a note in my notes, like, while I was watching this episode, like, I kind of couldn't remember how this shook out in the end. And I'm, like, watching the ticker go by on the clock. And I was like, did they write a plot that has no, like, conflict at the end? I was like, how is this going to resolve? Like, things are kind of wrapping up. Like, interesting.
Right.
And then this just, like, gets dropped on you. Like,
Well,
where
he literally,
Kamir
like,
just goes fucking bananas.
He goes insane. He literally like puts his hands up to his face and says, I am Kali. And I'm like,
Whoa.
when did you turn into a supervillain?
Yeah. Like, there's no hinting of
Like-
any of this in his persona earlier in the episode.
Not
Especially
really.
because the thing that immediately precedes this is this flashback where he, like, very rationally and very, like, empathetically explains to Mac what, like, about the culture that she's participating in. And they have this nice moment where, like, Mac then, like, almost joins into the ritual. Like, he's the one who lights the pyre. They have, like, this moment of shared understanding about this.
Right.
And then the present is just the complete opposite, where
Yeah.
he's not being rational at all. He's just nutty.
Malevolent.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, I think, this coming out of the character, but not this quickly. Like this needed, we needed to
Well,
meet
is
this
just
character
like a
again.
Switch is flipped.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Or
they
we
need
need-
it to be.
We
Right.
needed to see seeds of this earlier.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's like so patient with Richie. Is that just a strategy to throw Mac off?
I don't think so.
don't think so.
I found him to be a pretty compelling immortal. Like I was
Yeah.
like, this guy's great. Like I want more of this guy.
Yeah. I disagree with the decision that he goes and tries to kill her. Like, I find that problematic for the structure of this episode. At least that he tries doing it then.
Should we have this discussion later? Like,
Yeah,
how
maybe.
would we?
But they could've
Because
just-
I was pondering this too. Like,
Yeah.
how would I make this have a fight at the end? I don't know.
Like,
Yeah.
or he just needed, like, if nothing else, like, probably the least disruptive thing they could do is just have him tone this down. Like, don't say, I am India, I am Kali, but make it be, like, a more extreme reading of what he's saying before. He's just like, it's like, you fixed this. She did not. Like, her sins are still upon her for participating in this. I can't let it go.
Right.
And Mac's like, you
have to.
You
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
Or we're fighting, and then they fight.
Right.
Like, that is still, like, very evil. Like, more evil than what we see him do before. But at least it feels like an outgrowth of what we've seen. Like, him saying, like, I am India, I am Kali. Like, that comes out of... That's like a weird, like... This guy did the fusion dance with Slam the Cat, and,
Yeah.
like, now they're like... He's a cartoon character.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, so they have a very cramped fight in this hallway.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. But then they bust into a fucking
A planetarium.
planetarium, and there's Pink
This-
Floyd starts playing.
I was like, what
lasers.
the fuck is this? Also,
Yeah.
we don't get to see the planets. It's just the light
Just
show.
the
Yeah.
light show.
And there's a bunch of weird laser sounds. It's just like,
Yeah.
pew, 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 pew.
I love this. I thought it was great. It was silly.
I
It was
dug
silly.
it. It was a
Yeah.
cool
I liked it, but I
place to
think
do
it's
it.
silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're fighting. At one point, he uses his silk cord to grab Mac's sword.
I like
which
that.
I thought was awesome.
Well, kind of. I also like it, but it's the last move of the fight, and it doesn't
Yeah.
work. He dies instantly.
Yeah.
Like, he wraps the silk cord, and it's like, wow, that was a dumb thing to do, and Mac instantly beheads him. Like, I also like that the silk cord found its way into the fight, but it was like a weird afterthought. We're like, well, maybe he tries to reach it with the cord, and Mac's like, well, I've got a sword, and that's better than a silk scarf, so you're dead. Like, it would have been cool if that actually factored in.
Yeah. Mm.
Also, there is this sweep the leg move, and I'm unsure whether that's supposed to be a callback or what. But part of me would have liked the idea if there's like this notion of like almost culture exchange in this thing, because Mac is seeing the parallels here. He's like, oh, the Japanese have a move that is like this. That's my background. Like,
Right,
do
right.
they have an answer to this move that I can look up and, like, you know, Kamir's weakness in some way is that he has never allowed himself to grow and truly experience other cultures. Because if he did, he would know there's a counter to this special move.
That's
You know what I
very
mean?
good.
And that, like, Mac's own multicultural identity is his strength.
I like this reading.
I don't know. I'm reading an awful lot into, like, this fighting game maneuver, downright strong punch. But, like, you know.
I like the way you're describing it. I don't know how you film that and get it across. Like, this is how Mac defeated him by his multiculturalism.
No, but I mean,
Like without someone having to explain it. Like, but
that's
it's great
the thing, I don't know.
But it's great symbolism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also don't know how you would explain it, other than like maybe instead of fixing a pot when they're having that conversation, Mac and Richie are sword fighting, and he asks him to try that move, and he's able to counter it. And
Yeah.
says like,
Or he
oh.
reads an old book where
Yeah.
it's like the Japanese, looking up that move and researching what the counter was to it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's symbolically rich stuff.
I like
but
it,
again,
though.
I'm still a little unsure that that's the move he uses. I just am not sure.
I'm sure if F. Braun had anything to do with this, I could absolutely see that being something.
Oh, totally.
He puts in there because that's his like language.
Yeah.
So can we talk about this quickening?
Yes, please. This is on.
The kernel level?
Yes.
It's pretty nuts.
Well, what we actually have to explain what happens. Well, the ghost
Like,
kind of looks like
ghost.
the quickening ghost. It's like very. I mean, it's faded, but it straight up looks like the Kali. I mean, it's
Yeah.
got like it looks like it's got like vague outlines of multiple arms, like.
We have the planetarium light show going,
Right.
and then we have the ghost stuff.
And then we have like not quite a strobe light, but like
Yeah.
Mac has like really powerful spotlights coming from behind him.
Right.
And then he's doing these weird hand motions.
Yeah,
that-
he's doing like straight up
He looks like he's being like an Indian statue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, uh-oh.
The one shot I do kind of like, at some point he has his hands
The
out.
fingers.
Oh, yeah.
And, like,
That was awesome.
That creates like a really cool lighting effect. But then it like transitions from that into him being like putting his hands flat and like
Yeah.
he's doing the Indian, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's bad.
I don't know. I half really like this and half cringe at it. Like, I think there's some interesting light stuff and visual stuff happening.
In
But
a
then-
cringeworthy package.
Yeah.
You know,
But
it's like
then, like, the hand motions are weird and I don't know.
yeah.
A little
Yeah.
silly.
There's some cool like things dancing around the outside of this quickening, but it's
Yeah.
got like a problematic jury rig center that
Yeah.
that breaks it down.
But Mac looks really sad afterwards. Just a bummer. I feel like
Yeah.
Mac has Mac killed a friend in a bit? When was the last friend Mac killed? We haven't had this come up.
What was the last?
It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, Mac's killing friends again, so
is,
what a bummer.
Our collective amnesia of this might be a problem for the game that's coming up.
Oh, God. Okay, so we cut the denouement of the episode is in the loft above the dojo.
So Richie's torn up about this death.
Yeah, because they had like a bond,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richie and this guy.
And he's like bummed about like all the people that got killed over this like statue. And he's like, I don't feel good about Kamir dying.
And it's like
Really?
you shouldn't feel good about him dying.
But he says like Kamir didn't speak for India. He only spoke for himself and the cult that died over 100 years ago. But also, I guess they echo like that it was 100 years ago. Like you have to, as an immortal, get over this stuff. Like these things that are in the past.
Like things are gonna change, and you need to embrace them in some way, or at least not be so resistant to them that you feel obligated to kill an art dealer.
Right. But Mac is following through and he's packing up the collie to go home. And that's it. That's the episode.
So like Mac still kind of does a good thing at the end,
Sure.
sending this thing back, I suppose.
Yeah.
He does. Yeah.
I mean, it's the least he can do, I guess.
I guess this is a very interesting episode.
Well, how about before we talk about it, we play a little game?
Ba-ba-da-ba. All right, we're going to play a little game we call 3 in 5. That is a game where I will give Keith and Eamon alternating topics, and they will have 5 seconds to name me 3 examples that fall within that category. For each one they get correct, they will get a point. If they manage to get all 3, 4 points. It's good times. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Yeah, Eamon, stepping up to the plate.
Step up to the streets.
We got to see a bunch of colonial officers in this. Can you name me 3 former British colonies?
India, Afghanistan? No. Hong Kong? Does that count?
Hong Kong does count. I'm not sure you said it in time, though.
You missed a real big one.
Yeah, like the
Oh, the
U.S.
United States? Yeah.
or Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Okay, round 1 was the gimme round, but we'll give you 2 on that one. Keith, name me 3 cities in Great Britain.
London, Birmingham, and Wales.
Wales is a country.
Yep, it is.
All right, so
damn
that's
it.
2 points.
Tied.
All right, we're
So
tied
said
on.
Gloucester.
There we go. All right, item
Glaucoma?
number 2.
Glaucoma.
Eamon, we're getting a little harder now. Give me 3 cities in India.
Oh, boy. Calcutta?
Yes.
That's all I got.
Accepted Mumbai or Delhi or... No, there's a bunch. Anyway.
I won't tell you now, but there's a bunch.
Keith, name for me 3 famous British officers.
Oh, that done. There you go.
All right.
Complete blank.
Complete back. Would have accepted like some good old like Cornwallis
There you go.
or Howes.
Cornwallis.
That's right.
Yeah,
For
you
some
gotta get that
Cornwallis.
Cornwallis.
It's Cornwallis season here. And-
Would have accepted
Our
a
area.
French or 2. Anyway.
well, I'm an idiot.
Nope. All right. Eamon,
Yes, sir.
name for me 3 friends that Mac has killed.
Oh, shit. Dominique Piton. Highlander rewatched.
Yeah. All right. That's 1 point.
I guess Kamir.
Is
Yeah,
he really a friend?
I'd say
Yeah.
he's a friend.
I definitely would have accepted Kamir for this one. Or like Michael Moore.
Michael
Like
Moore.
Moore.
Who's
You got Sully.
Sully Sullenberger.
Sully Sullenberger.
Keith,
Yo.
you probably know what the next one is, but name me 3 friends that Mac has spared.
Oh. Come on. I don't know. I'm blanking. I'm blank.
Blanking. What about these episodes we're recording?
All right.
Oh, damn it.
That's a fried egg.
Damn it. Well, I'm losing.
I wouldn't be so sure.
Oh, God.
Eamon, name me
Yes.
3 Highlander episodes which present some interesting thoughts about race.
Ooh, Run for Your Life. Wrath of Kali.
Yeah.
And yeah. Those are my answers.
All right.
I certainly would have accepted See No Evil.
Yeah.
You know, and others.
Others.
Keith, name me 3 episodes that prominently feature works of art.
What?
Ooh.
Well,
This bunch-
any episode that features Duncan's body or Tessa's body.
Ooh.
God damn it! The time's running out. The
I'm-
one Nefertiri, Pharaoh daughter of Pharaoh, Pharaoh's daughter.
Oh my
I'm
God.
not sure you got that out.
I don't think so, but the joke was solid in the top.
The joke
Yes.
was solid.
That was a solid joke.
I had not thought of Pharaoh's daughter, but I would have accepted it.
Because of
Obviously,
the
I would have
museum.
accepted Wrath of Kali.
Ugh.
Oh yeah!
Wrath of Kali was acceptable for almost every answer on this one.
God damn it!
Wrath of Kali, Wrath of Kali, Wrath of Kali. Wrath of Kali watched 3 times.
All right, and it's not going to get any better on this one.
Oh, God.
Eamon, name me 3 members of Congress.
Oh come on!
Kamala Harris,
Yes.
Cory Booker,
Yes.
blank, blank, blank.
That's 5, but you got 2.
Hey-oh.
Keith, name me 3 members of the Trump administration that have resigned.
Ooh.
So you got Steve Bannon, you got Rex Tillerson, you got oh, and the lady, the press person.
You're thinking of Hope Hicks.
Hope Hicks.
I believe.
Yep.
But you got
Hope
2.
Hicks.
You got 2 in there solid.
Ooh.
All right,
So-
better than I usually do on these.
Two in
It's usually a
In fact,
goddamn train wreck.
you guys got the most points you got on that last round. The
That's
one that,
weird.
That's normally the trip.
the non-Highlander questions.
Wow. Should we cut this game?
No.
Okay.
I think it's just the worst game we've ever played.
Yeah. Were they that bad? Were they that hard?
Your questions were awful.
All right. They might have been
We
hard.
performed up to our normal standards.
Yeah. Keith, you clocked in with 4 points.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
Eamon, you clocked in with 8 points.
4 points was the most I got. You could get that on one round if you got them all right.
Correct.
Idiot. Oh my god.
We're
Correct.
dum-dums. I can't remember the names of these episodes anymore.
We
They all
need
just
to
like
all
bleed
go
together.
I'm fine if I have it's when I'm under pressure. I just I lose it all.
Under pressure. Also, I want to know if when we're playing these games, listeners are like freaking out because they know the answers quickly.
Instantly, yeah.
You don't have the pressure, man. You're in your car, driving to work, listening to a podcast. Easy breezy for you people.
Yeah, it's easy for you.
Exactly. Also, you're not idiots like we are, so that probably makes it easier too.
Yeah, we always forget how big a handicap being dumb is. I'm kidding. That was a somewhat harder one, but I think you guys did all right, and I'm very proud of your congressional and Trump administration related answers.
Yeah.
How about that?
Opening those eyes to the world around us.
Yeah, suck it, Scott Pruitt. Hey, what's $341,000 worth of travel expenses between friends?
Yeah.
Taxpayer money. Do we get a cool Watcher Chronicle out of this bad boy?
That's right. As a reward for our poor showing at the game portion of the show, we're going
This
to
is a
read some
punishment, yeah.
Watcher Chronicles. So we've just got one chronicle to read, and that is for Mr. Kamir himself. So he was born in 350.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So he's old as dirt.
His first death was in 390, and he interrupted robbers stealing Hindu goddess statue. His teacher was Sanjeev Gupta. His cultural affiliation was Brahmin. All right, his recent base of operations was Delhi, India.
Oh,
Occupation.
that's a city you could have said.
Yeah, there we go.
His occupation is a Hindu priest. So his chronicle reads, "The great wheel turns, then turns again. As Kali was at the heart of his birth as an immortal, Kali was instrumental in his end as well. When Kamir crafted the incarnation of Kali with his hands and his heart so many turns of the wheel ago..."
Wait, Kamir made that? Whoa.
Whoa.
He made the statue?
Apparently, according to this,
shit.
which is funny because in my notes, I was like,
What do you
I
add
wish
to
there was
that?
more explanation of this statue. Like, I don't like that it's like it's like alive. I'm
magic.
like, but I wish there was some like significant, like whatever it is. Like this is a special statue for some reason. I wish we got that history. But now it's that he made it and he just wants it back.
Yeah, that somehow cheapens it. Or if that's what they're going to do, have him say it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
have him
it's
say
like-
it.
he's
Well,
like,
I mean, obviously these are written
Yeah.
like
After
possibly
the fact,
years after
yeah.
the fact. Interesting. Could he imagine it would be half a world away in a land where Kali herself had held no sway? Hey, it rhymed. Kamir, for so long the bringer of Kali's justice, brought down by one whose own code of justice proved the stronger in the end.
Interesting.
His code of justice proves stronger? What the fuck does that mean?
Batman versus Superman Code of Justice.
So that's just like whoever kills the other person, like their code of justice is better. Like
Yeah.
what?
Actually, my Code of Justice is better.
In the end, Kali's purpose was served by Kamir's sacrifice, as her sacred image rests once again in the land she protects.
Interesting.
So there we go. We don't really find out too much about Kamir, other than he sculpts pretty nicely.
Yeah, he's a
Apparently.
good sculptor.
Yeah,
I wonder if he and Tessa would have gotten along.
I bet they would have.
No. So what do we think about this bad boy? What are our thoughts?
I'm really torn about this. This feels like a little Christopher Nolan-y to me, where like every scene with Kamir, he's like saying his motivations to the audience. Like I almost had a hard time writing notes for this episode because like shit is getting thrown at you as much as possible. Like all these like moral and ethical and like cultural ideas. It's just like people constantly spouting off their motivations at you, which a little bit bothered me, but a little bit like I like Kamir. I think he's great, but all of his dialogue was just kind of like espousing his beliefs. Like I thought we said, I feel like his character got a little lost and rushed at the end, maybe.
I don't think it would have bothered me but for the way it ends.
Yeah.
Because then it feels like all that other stuff was like much ado about nothing. Like
Right.
that stuff isn't really what drives him. He's driven by like this weird sense of like narcissistic empowerment that he's somehow divine and speaks for all of India. And that's crazy town. And like all the other stuff was like, well, what was that?
Like I feel like there's a 5-star episode in here hiding.
I
that
think there's
doesn't
there's
make
a
it out.
five there's 5 stars worth of moral questions and production quality and in terms of like the flashbacks and that kind
The
of stuff.
production quality in this episode, like it's no surprise there's so much flashback to
Yeah.
India because like they got to milk it, like because it's
If you're gonna
awesome.
do
The
it-
costumes are
yeah.
great, like. The
Yeah.
Steve Gagan's like sets and locations are awesome. Like he said, the Palace is the Orpheum Theater, which we've kind of seen before. Which was that's the theater with Mad Marcus in.
Oh, cool.
What episode's that? Is that See No Evil?
Yes.
Yeah, See No Evil. But yeah, he's like, the architecture in this building is like strange. He's like, you don't see stuff like this anywhere on the West Coast, and it worked perfectly for India. And apparently, he also was like the one championing like we got to do an India episode. Nobody thought he could. It was like that's not going to happen. Like we're never going to be able to recreate that. And then they wrote it, and I think he knocked it out of the park. It's
Yeah,
good.
It's
They
pretty
got that
incredible.
tiger in there.
They got that tiger in there.
Put a tiger in your tank.
Yeah.
Like all the actors are great in this episode. I kind of didn't like Colonel Ramsay that much, but
He's a little too much.
he plays his part well. But I think I think he's a little over the top. To quote my favorite Sylvester Stallone
Stallone movie?
movie, I want to like this more than I do. And I can't quite put my finger on it.
Interesting.
I think the rush nature of the ending, I think, makes the rest of it feel a little more feeble than it does. I've been trying to think of like structurally how I would want it to go differently. I think what I'd said earlier about just tamping down his rhetoric at the end is probably the least disruptive to the episode way of doing it. But I feel like there's another way to structure this. But it requires like some real reweighing of this. Maybe the actual fight between Duncan and Kamir happens a little earlier in the episode. That happens, they fight, Mac spares him. Mac decides not to kill him, like with a promise not to let her go, and like, you know, maybe Kamir learns something from Mac in this fight. And then like our final action beat in some way takes place in the past with Mac interceding to prevent the racist woman from taking vengeance on Kamir and others for the crimes. Like maybe there's like your final action beat or something.
That's an interesting. I don't know if this show ever did something like that where the final action beat is in the flashback. Like, because I did feel that way this whole episode. It's like the present storyline kind of moves along and it's interesting discussions, but I'm like, I'm not sure how this is going to like have a punchy ending.
Yeah.
And it's maybe the solution is it doesn't, but the action is all in the past. And you just let there just be some interesting story you tell back then.
Yeah, and like maybe your way into that is Richie saying like being surprised, being like, you seem so against this. Like, why did you spare him? And maybe we get some insight into that decision based on what this climax in the past was. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking aloud here, but
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if the Richie parts really need to be in this episode. I feel like
I like that though.
I like it. Like, I don't think it's bad, but I feel like all of these could be things between Kamir and Mac. Like, I don't see what Richie brings to it ultimately.
I think I was going to say open-mindedness. I don't know if that says it. Like, Mac is a fairly fixed character. Like, Mac is not very subject to being influenced by Kamir.
Right.
Like, he's not ever going to adopt anything that Kamir is saying, probably. But, like, I think you experience Kamir differently by having your main window to him primarily be Richie, not Mac.
Yeah,
and
Richie's more of an audience surrogate, I think, in some ways. Like, he's the sounding board for both of these characters, which have very strong opinions.
Right.
And I think that I think that does work.
I can see what you're saying, though, like, because he does reiterate a lot of what Kamir says. He's like, oh, but what about this? It's like, yeah, we just heard Kamir say that. But I think it's,
Right.
I don't know. I agree with you, Kyle, though, that I don't mind it, though. I like that Richie's, like, interested in asking Mac follow-up questions.
I think the difference is that Richie's relationship with Kamir makes me care about Kamir.
Right.
Mac's relationship with Kamir does not do that.
Yeah, they don't, like, pal around in
They're
the
not
past,
warm.
really.
Like you get the impression that they're friends, but like not in a way that gives me an emotional connection to
Right.
Kamir. But like Richie really does seem like he is valuing and getting something out of that relationship.
And he gives good advice to Richie, too, I think.
Yeah, in a
Yeah.
way that I think is meaningful. I think that's the real strength of that component of the thing.
Yeah, maybe it is just that Kamir goes from 0 to 60 at the end. It kind of robs him of his good qualities.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, well, yeah, he has to die now. Whereas it could have been a much more emotional final battle if they just reached this impasse where it's like, you can't kill her, but I have to kill her. Rather than, I am a god.
And also,
Or
I suppose
maybe
they could
it's
even tap into the duty conversation that was had a lot in the past. Like, it's her duty to kill herself for her husband. This could be Kamir's duty to... I mean, like, I think if they leaned into that more, that's, again, more in keeping with his character. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's maybe not what you think, but, like, you have to let me do it. I can't not. Like, this is who I am. It doesn't matter that
It's
she
the
loved
simplest-
him or didn't love him. It's her duty to do it. And
Yeah.
it's my duty to serve Kali. So...
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the simplest fix in the whole thing.
Another simple fix is
fairly-
also not having the statue get returned, is that Mac fails and says, look, it's not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe it wasn't actually stolen. Maybe, like, fucking Malay is a shithead, but no,
This time,
it
yeah.
wasn't. It was fine. And it's like, it's going to have to stay here. And that's just not enough for
Kamir.
And
Yeah,
he's like,
I mean,
no.
that's the ingredients.
I mean, that's a
real-
good way to escalate it. Like, why does he want to kill her? Like, come on.
That's
like,
the thing. That's just unforgivable. Like it's impossible to be sympathetic to Kamir once he takes that unreasonable a position. That
Right.
even when someone gives you what you want, that you and like
Yeah.
is playing ball and is doing the right thing, that you're gonna
And
you're
she's
gonna kill them.
and she's worse than the other guy.
Yeah, like worse than the guy who's the thief. Like,
Right.
That's and like for this weird race traitor shit. Like that's
Yeah.
that's
Right.
fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another almost simplification of this, or not even simplification of it, but a way if you wanted to restructure where this fight happened and how. It could all just still be a fight about the first guy.
Yeah.
Maybe Mac's being maybe the focus goes on Mac being very inflexible. That like Mac can't back down, knowing that this guy killed a mortal kind of associate of his over a statue. Like,
I mean, you bringing that up also, to me, brings up this issue of, like, we haven't really talked about Mac's code here, too. I mean, if, like, they're both their duties are, like, at an impasse. And maybe if they leaned into that more, I mean, I think it's under the surface. Like, Kamir needs to do this. I think it's definitely there, right? Like, that's
that he
part of
needs to do it.
That's
yeah.
part of his deal.
It gets
It's like
too wrapped up in this weird
in other
egomania.
bullshit. Mac always is doing this. I mean, that's why he fights these people. Like, he can't let it go. Like,
Right.
I feel like other people, immortal or not mortal, or whatever I'm trying to say, immortal or mortal, you know, I don't know, somebody does a bad thing and it's like, well, that sucks, like, moving on. Like, Mac can't let this go. Like, you have killed somebody, now I must, like, avenge
to
them.
address this,
I have to
yeah.
address this. Like, so Mac's, bound to his code as well. Maybe as much as Kamir is.
Funky side note that is also in this like duty versus I don't know what, like duty versus like a personal code and like individualism. What the fuck is Mac doing in India? I teased this earlier, and the more I think about it, like they keep on presenting him like he is this champion of the Indian people, but he is a tool of their colonialism. Like he is not fundamentally their friend. He is there to stop people that like are enemies of the British government.
Right.
That is why he is there. Like he is there to participate in their oppression, not unlike they are oppressing Scotland, as he seems to have very strong opinions about. The more I thought about it, I was like, I have a real problem with this. And like in some ways, Mac's like, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth about Mac being a friend to these people. And based on Mac's whole comment about how the Indians are losing an empire, like how hard this must be for them, he's fully aware of what he's doing.
I mean, is his idea that like I can make it better or easier?
I don't know.
Like it's going to happen. I can't stop the British Empire, but I can be a force for good within it. Maybe
by hunting down like what, by some definition in the context of this episode, you might say are
Heroes.
Indian freedom fighters.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
In a certain sense.
Sure.
It's like, I'm going to try to get them. Which also, by the way, no resolution of that plot.
Nope.
Mac never actually does what he's there to do, apparently. He's too distracted by...
Finger blasting.
Yeah, Mac just goes over there and gets fucked.
Yeah. Like,
Literally.
I don't know. Part of me wishes he was not there why they say he was there. That would actually be a very quick fix to solve it. Like maybe he's just been there and they're asking for his help. They're like, oh, you've been here for a while. You're theoretically a British subject. Help us. And he's like, he knows what this is. Like Ramsay is too big a fool and like not, and like they're both too racist to understand the ramifications of like this colonialism on the Indian people and like, and they're participating in it. Which is like messed up, but like it makes sense in terms of like their own screwed up internal logic. Like what is Mac doing? What's Mac's justification for doing this when he seems to know full well how messed up it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. Kamir, I feel like in this context, I feel like he should have stronger thoughts on Mac and his participation in this.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But like he seems to think that Mac's like a true friend of the Indian people.
And what's like, Kamir's playing this weird double game, like pretending to be friends with the colonel and then secretly being a tuggy.
Right.
That makes sense to me. Like just
Yeah.
in the sense of
He's like a spy or
that he's like a
something,
spy
yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
you know, you fight with the weapons you have.
Right.
But I don't know. It's interesting. Just weird food for thought dwelling in the heart of this thing. Is Mac an agent of colonialism? Discuss.
Also, interesting tidbit from Steve Gagan on the special features. He did not seem too happy with the director of this episode.
No.
He was talking about, as a set designer, you do all this work and you want to tell a story with the environment as much as, you know, the written word and the actors. Like, this should all be to support the story. And he's like, some directors really get it, and hopefully they like your set and they show it off and they make it part of the storytelling. He's like, on other directors, he's like, they go in for some tight shots and you can't really see what all the work you did. And I think he was complaining about this. He thought this was shot a little too tight.
Yeah.
I buy that.
Yeah. You got to see that tiger, though.
Yeah. Did get to see that tiger.
Oh, the one is that the one who dates Kylie Jenner?
Yep.
Tyga?
Tiger.
Uppercut. Also, since we're talking about fighting games, I'll finally shoehorn this joke in.
Cool.
You know, people are often really they mistake what Scorpion says. Like everyone thinks they say "get over here." What he actually says is "come here."
Come here. That's good.
That is also true.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he says. I'm pretty sure in the original he says "come here"
Wow.
when he throws it, not "get over here."
Come here. Come here.
Come here.
Come here. Yeah,
There he is.
I was
Star of, what was it? Kitty Pride, or what was that
Yeah,
movie?
Kitty
Party.
Pride.
Kitty Party. 2002's
Darkness
Kitty Party.
64.
Kitty
Party. Party.
Mac was having a kitty party down there with a...
Yeah.
Woo!
Oh, I thought for a second that was a joke about a pity party. At the end, he and Richie have a
Yeah.
kitty party.
Kitty party.
I don't know.
All right.
We're to rate this motherfucker.
I think so. Kyle,
Yeah.
how many Kali statues would you give this?
Oof. I am giving this all things considered 4 Kali statues. I think it's very strong. I think its potential is perhaps higher than almost any other episode we've seen. It's got some problematic components, but the moral elements are so strong. The production value elements are so strong that I don't know. I've got a real soft spot for this bad boy. It gets 4 stars. You know what? It could have, if not for some of these like shot-related complaints I've had, like with the zooms and the tight shots, it could have gone as high as a 4.5, but it's living at 4.
Wow.
Eamon, how many Bengal tigers would you give this episode?
I'm going to give it 3.5 Bengal tigers. A lot of those shots annoyed me. Lots of exposition kind of didn't sit well with me. It's a pretty solid episode. Good actors. This is a good one. This is worth watching. Just not quite among the best for me.
Keith, how many secret quarterstaff moves would you give this? Actually, excuse me. How many tug jobs would you give this?
I am going to give this 4.5 tuggies.
Woo.
Yeah,
Tug jobs.
Tug jobs.
Tug jobs.
Isn't that the founder of Apple?
Yeah,
Tug jobs.
That's his brother.
Yeah.
I really dug this episode. Like I said, Kyle, the moral questions are fantastic. This is like heavy material.
It's real heavy, and they're fast and furious. Like, they
and-
don't let you rest on your laurels with just 1 or 2 moral questions.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Eamon, and I can see this, you kind of mentioned, like, not much really happens in this episode. Like, in a way, it doesn't. Like, there's a statue that's delivered, and then they debate it the whole episode.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Like
the
an episode
plot.
of TNG.
Yeah, nothing really happens, but I kind of don't care because I really like how it plays out. I love Kamir. It's too bad he kind of dies at the end. I thought he was a cool mentor role.
He was a really
Richie.
good actor.
Yeah, he was really great. I thought his dialogue was really nice. Pretty poetic stuff and just kind of meaning of life shit for Richie to hear, which was cool. All the staff fighting was awesome,
Yeah, it was
which
dope.
is cool. Also, I really like the score. I think they did a good job. Like, I feel like they did hire actual like Indian performers to perform some like live stuff, which was in it. But also, Roger Bellon, his score, like when what's her name, Vishti? Vashti, excuse me. When she dies, like the score when she's like on the funeral pyre is fantastic. It's really good stuff. They got that tiger in there. Production value was great. I mean, like, it's got most of the stuff I want from a Highlander episode, like moral question, flashback,
Ass kicking.
all that sort of stuff. So, yeah,
Blasting.
finger
blasting.
finger
Yeah.
banging.
We've said that phrase too many times this episode.
It's a gross phrase.
It's really gross.
What phrase?
Finger blasting.
Finger
Oh,
blasting.
okay.
Oh, boy.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, the biggest fault it has is the turn for Kamir at the end, but I kind of can let it go. Just like suspension of disbelief. It's like, all right, fine. I think the rest of the episode's so strong. I give it a pass. So I think it's 4.5. It's one of my favorites.
Good shit.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. It was
I hope you had as much fun listening to it as we had making it.
No.
that's right. If you have thoughts on this episode, what do you think about Mac's choice to kill Kamir? Do you think Kamir's right?
Or just serve the British crown
Yeah.
in a fundamentally conquest-oriented mission.
Yeah, or if you have real deep thoughts on moral relativism, which we really didn't get into at the end, let us know.
Well, we got into it at the time.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, lots of good stuff. Write us at highlanderrewatch@gmail.com. And if we like your email, if it's not too rambly and full of shit, we'll read it on the air.
Damn.
Damn.
Hot
I don't know.
take.
Make it good.
Yeah.
Make it good. Make it stand out. Draw a picture.
Come here.
Yeah. Draw us a picture.
Very good. Also, if you like our podcast, make sure to rate us on iTunes or Stitcher. Leave us a review or just leave us some stars. We
5 stars.
5 stars would be great.
Leave
Yeah,
us 5.
preferably 5.
And it helps spread the word. And it really does. The more stars we get, we have absolutely reached more people, which is very, very cool. So keep them coming. Join us next week when our episode will be Season 4, Episode 10, Chivalry. I've been one of your rewatchers. I'm Keith.
This is Kyle.
This is Eamon.
Bye.
Bye.
See Dr. Noak.
Ooh.
Remember him? All right.
Are you talking about Dr. No?
No, Dr. Noak. Is it Noak? Wasn't that one of the characters in...
I don't know. I don't remember.
All right, well. There you go. GoldenEye trivia, guys.
Write us in.
That's right. Alan Cummings.
Yeah. I am invincible.
Cummings.
It's very good. Okay.